Hello, Internet, and welcome to Just Go Game Theory.
Amazing intro.
Amazing intro.
Oh
Are we
boy.
doing?
All
Are
right,
we doing?
what's up?
Are we doing? Are we doing tier lists for intros? Because that's fucking definitely F tier, my dude.
That is after. Oh, that's keck not cringe. All right, welcome to the first episode of the podcast, Hot Takes and Tier List. Topic number one to rifle everyone's feathers: Star Wars. We're gonna start off with a quick introduction. Everyone, introduce yourselves. Uh,
Oh, I was waiting for Connor to go.
I was waiting for you, but hi, I'm Connor. Welcome.
Connor is the cat with the baseball bat in the bottom right hand corner.
Oh, yep.
Uh,
There you go.
I'm Eric.
Eric is on the top left, and I'm in the bottom left. And James, who's not here, what is that a drawing of, by the way, that he sent me?
I don't know, but I think it's hate speech.
Uh,
Hello.
perfect. Oh, you're
Okay.
back. All right. So we're gonna start off the conversation very, very basic. Give your overall what do you think of Star Wars? Quick, 10, 20 seconds, your general opinion. We'll start with Eric.
Um, I got kind of a mixed relationship with Star Wars. I loved it as a kid. I have fond memories of it, and um, I haven't really liked any of the new ones. Um, so as a whole, I don't really like all of the movies. Um, because the last four I haven't really liked that much, but still really good original movies, very um, big for the time and big in the way of special effects. But yeah,
All right, Connor.
Um, I'm still a pretty huge fan. Probably one of my favorite franchises for movies. I love the Clone Wars. I love the lore between about everything. Prequels. I'm a huge fan of. It's a hot take right there. Um, and yeah, I don't really like the last couple movies, but here to talk about it.
All right. And I actually agree with both of you, where the first six episodes I'd say were my favorite. I could rewatch any of those of this first six and just have a grand old time. But as we dip into the more Disney related Star Wars, I start to have mixed reviews other than the animated stuff. Like the new season of Star Wars: The Clone Wars that came out, and the Clone Wars animated show was just amazing in general, and also just because the music will never fail to amaze me. Like
Hell yeah.
the music will
oh
always
yeah,
be good.
music's great.
Yeah.
Music's great.
So I
Um,
oh yes.
I was just gonna say, if I could add one more thing, the the prequels are interesting for me because I think some of them are kind of boring and they aren't as exciting visually, but I think some of it might be a little nostalgia for me.
Yeah.
Where, yeah,
There's a lot of nostalgia goggles. And to kick it off, actually, we're gonna go through each movie and discuss what we liked and disliked about it. It won't be too long, but we'll go in not canon. I mean, not like we'll just go one, two, three, four, five, six, and then the spin-offs.
Okay.
So I actually will post the first picture up. Hopefully this works. Shablamo. First picture is episode one, The Phantom Menace. So quickly, we'll just run through. We'll do a quick out of 10. What did you guys think of it?
All right. Sounds good.
Who wants to start us off?
You want to start, Kyle?
Yeah. So Phantom Menace, in my opinion, I'd give it a nice. I'd give it a 6 or 7 out of 10. Uh, I'll go into explanations later, but I just want to hear everyone's ranking system before we go into discussion.
um, I don't know. I'd go a little lower. I'd go maybe like 4 or 5.
I'd probably go with like a 6 or a 7. I think the musical scores obviously really well, especially Duel of the Fates. Is that the good one?
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah, that's the Darth Maul one.
fucking god tier.
and it's
And then
interesting.
I think it could have been a lot better, but at the
Oh
same
yeah,
time, it was all right. It was fun to watch.
I think and I fall into the same category that a lot of people love the first movie because of the final fight. A lot of people, when they think of the Phantom Menace, they think of Duel of Fates, and they think of Darth Maul versus Qui-Gon, which it took me a while to realize that was Liam Neeson, and I'm hitting myself because I should have realized it
Really?
soon. Yeah, Qui-Gon
Kyle
Jinn
found
is
this like he
Liam Neeson.
confided in me. He told me about a week ago. He was like, "Did you know this?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude.
I was like, haha, yeah, me
You,
too.
you never like saw the
Wait,
credits or anything? What?"
wait,
I
you just found this out a week ago?
no, this was a
No,
while
I'm just
ago.
kidding.
Oh, okay.
But I was just like, because I know, like, if I look at Qui Gon now, like in the picture, I'm just like, yeah, that's Liam Neeson. But as a kid, I was like, I don't know who that guy is. That's Qui Gon Jinn.
Oh my god.
Especially as a kid, I mean, what would you know Liam Neeson from?
Like Taken, and I don't even think that was a series yet.
No, Taken's a newer. Yeah, so like our generation, I think it's like Taken and Phantom Menace is all that Liam Neeson has been in,
Yeah.
Yeah.
as far as we're concerned.
And then, yeah, I think so. The ending, I think, of Phantom Menace was probably the best part. The opening and the middle part was like, I guess, choppy at best, and just I feel like they're still trying to get their footing for the prequel trilogy, and they didn't do too well leading into the second one. But I mean, my bias opinion, I like the second one, but
All right.
overall, I think the first movie had a lot of flaws, especially bringing in like midichlorians and all that into the Star Wars canon.
I kind of like it. I don't know. It makes it like brings like it just kind of explains it more. I guess it's not like this like magical force. It actually explains why they can pass it on through
Yeah.
like generations and family. It
I'm
explains
gonna
why
have to,
more powerful than the others. And,
I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that one. I like how in the original it was like Luke is talking to Han about the Force and Han is like, "You're stupid. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard." And it's all just kind of like more of a spirituality kind of thing, and also with some of the themes of the originals about like nature versus the rise of machines, and I think like Cold War, World War II kind of stuff was thrown in there as well. I think it made more sense. And then just to have midichlorians, I don't know. I'm not a part of that camp, I guess.
Which is fine,
that's
yeah.
fair.
I mean, how many
Yeah.
times they had to quickly
Well, the thing is that
explain?
yeah, and they never mention it ever again, which I
Yeah,
think is maybe if they just kind of settled with it and was like, this is the thing now, it's like, okay. But for them to say it and then just be like, all right, never mind, we'll just never say that again. It's like, and just don't even bother.
I
Then
think it was,
don't
I think it
don't
was
bother.
mainly just to establish why like Anakin was like such a big deal and like how Luke was also just a huge deal. So like
Yeah.
kind of like
That's true.
it
gods among men.
it's
I guess so.
it's a trilogy that we needed because it explained like, oh, why does Luke exist? Like who and oh why what
Who
for
popped him out
Obi-Wan.
of their
Yeah.
vagina? Yeah.
And for Obi-Wan, like how Obi-Wan described Anakin, it's like, so how, like, I wanted to see that. I want to see that shit. And you do, and you get to see. I mean, granted, for the first, actually all three movies, Anakin's Hayden Christensen's kind of like a whiny
Yeah,
boy.
that's the thing. It's like, oh, I want to see the relationship, and then at the end of episode 3, it's like, man, I really wish I could have seen the relationship.
And then
They
Yeah.
barely spend any
That's-
time together.
and you have to
That's why I love-
watch the animated series to like get that
Yeah, I was
relationship.
gonna say, I was gonna say that's why I love the Clone Wars because it just expands upon it so much more. They like perfected each character. Just a really good show, and it just adds a lot to the prequels, and that's why I'm still a huge fan of them.
Yeah, and it
Oh.
also shows. Oh, sorry, Eric.
No, that's all I was gonna say.
And it also shows. So, I love the lightsaber duels, and I think the first 6 movies, like the first one here, behind the scenes, like seeing the training they had to go through, like the choreography they had to learn just to be able to do everything,
Mm-hmm.
like it blows me away. And it's also just really cool practical effects that I'm a fan of, where they don't need to CG and like, I mean, of course there was things they had to like CG or like just because there's like some jumps or whatever that they couldn't do like practically, but it's still fun to see like how they practiced and were able to like do the like swing their swords around laser sword, whatever you want to call them, lightsabers, and just have a good time.
Yeah, I admire that there was some real like sword training, and especially in the first one, that there were the most amount of practical sets and real locations, at least to my recollection, because I know three is pretty much all green screen, and I think
Yeah.
two is really heavy with that as well. So I like how the first one still sort of looks like the original trilogy the most.
Yeah. And in the first movie only had two lightsaber fights. It only had, I mean, it had when Darth Maul surprised Qui-Gon in Tatooine, and then when they fought in Naboo. There's only two
Yeah, I
lightsaber
mean,
fights that entire time.
boy, I wouldn't call the first one a lightsaber fight. It was like a little.
It was a little
It was
tussle.
like a
little
skirmish,
scrap.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the first one only had one lightsaber fight. The second one only had one lightsaber fight. I mean, five and four.
Yeah.
Um, six also only had one.
And they're still like amazing when we look back at them because I think
They were
for
good stories.
yeah, 4, 5, 6 was all more about the emotional conflict because like a father and a son fighting. This one was like, oh, the Jedi at the height of their training, like this is them at their best, at their peak,
Yeah.
and then it leads into. I think the overall story of one, where it kind of shows Palpatine planting the seeds. Like you see him for a little bit. He isn't really seen as like an important character, but he's there, and it just shows like, oh, this guy who just weaseled his way in and corrupted the Senate, and like in the next two movies, how he gains power because of that and pulls the strings from behind the scenes, and that's kind of also really cool because they had a story.
Definitely. And some would even say that he was the Phantom Menace the whole time, and Maul was just a pawn in
Yeah,
like this grand scheme, man. And I've been saying that for quite a while.
and in the animated series, that also supports that because Darth Maul, in the animated series, I think Connor, did you see the or Eric, did you guys see the new episode, the new season?
Dude, that
I
was
don't
like
have
the
Disney
last.
Plus. I haven't seen it.
The last 4 episodes of
Yeah,
that last season was like the best shit ever.
it Darth Maul's basically like, yeah, I know about the clones are about to turn on the Jedi.
I've seen
Palpatine.
clips and it's pretty cool,
Yeah, and did
but I
you?
haven't been able to see any of it.
They did practical like, not practical effects, but they did like
in this
for
in
the
this
animated thing,
computer-generated TV show, yeah.
but they did
Shut up,
motion
Kyle.
capture for the fights.
Yeah, they had the original.
Oh yeah, I heard
Darth
about that.
Maul
That's pretty
back.
cool.
Like that's incredibly cool.
That is pretty cool. I heard recently. I know this off topic of episode one, but I heard that who's in charge of the show, the animated shows? What's his name?
Oh,
It's like David or something, right?
Dave Filoni.
Dave
Is that
Filoni.
him?
Maybe. He was saying something. He's like, oh yeah, the shows, because the especially the quality has gotten really really good in that last season. And he was like, this is kind of what he wanted, like the originals, I mean, the prequels to look like and stuff. Um, but the technology just wasn't there yet. I was like, oh, that'd been interesting. I mean, obviously the characters wouldn't have been computer, but
Yeah.
I think he means more like the quality of everything.
Yeah. I think. All right. So flaws. Any flaws that you see in the Phantom Menace?
Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah.
I'll say it.
I think some acting and some
And
sort of world building stuff where no, you know what? Yeah, just acting. I think.
acting in the all first three films, or one, two, and
Actually,
three.
I think the acting was probably the best in the first one, just because Hayden Christian wasn't really there, and I'm sure he's a great actor. Just they didn't really give him much to work with.
He's
No,
meme
the problem
material.
he's not a good actor. If you've seen other stuff he's in, he's not good in that either.
Oh well, there you go.
He's just an
Yeah.
absolute like beacon of memes. I think that's all
Yeah.
his character is. But I feel like for Jar Jar, like of course his character was made to be annoying, but I feel bad for the actual guy who had to play Jar Jar. Like that guy.
He almost killed himself. Do you guys know about this?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a
You know how
bunch of
sad that
backlash.
is? And the kid who played Anakin was like bullied his entire life. This poor guy.
Like
Yeah, he turned out so good.
it
Yeah,
should
he was like 8 years old. He's just doing a job.
and it's
Poor guy.
I feel
Same
bad
with
for
the guy
yeah.
who played Jar Jar. Poor guy.
They didn't deserve like you can hate the character, but I wouldn't hate the actor because at the end of the day, the
They had nothing to
actors
do with it.
it's just a job for them. They're acting out a character that
Yeah.
he's not coming out and saying like I agree with Jar Jar. I want to act like him when I'm not in costume. It's like no, he's not saying this at all.
He didn't make Jar Jar Binks. I'm sure he had ideas, and I'm sure George Lucas said, "No, this is how I want it done." And he said, "Okay, Georgie boy, I got you. I'll do my job.
I got
I'll
you.
show up on time. I'll do what you ask."
And I mean, I'm glad I'll use the animated show. The animated show kind of realized this and slowly took away Jar Jar's role. And I mean, Jar
Yeah.
Jar's nowhere to be seen in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever. He was seen in 3. Last time he was seen is 3. Thank God. I mean,
Of course, he wasn't in the originals, Kyle. He
yeah,
wasn't like created. He wasn't
but
thought of yet.
no, but think about it. What if like in
No.
7, 8, 9 they put him in there?
Only
old
if
was
he
he?
was actually evil the whole time, like
Yeah,
that fan
yeah.
theory. That's
Like
the only way it would have worked.
he was evil Jar Jar Binks. But eh,
I
I
would love it.
but they did
It would make this
continue.
movie so much better.
Jar Jar's story continued in the books. And I think like I
Yeah.
think he fell into a depressive state after he realized like Anakin became Darth Vader and he's like, "Oh, shit, I basically did that when I said that Palpatine could have power or like
Unlimited
unlimited
power.
unlimited power." Which is like holy who knew like not to kick Jar Jar more down the hill, but he basically gave Palpatine the power he needed to become the Emperor.
I
Like
mean, they all did though. It
yeah,
wasn't just yeah.
but Jar Jar helped him get emergency power, and it's like
That's
oh
true.
no.
That's true. He just had no business. I think what was so interesting about, especially the all of them have sort of political themes in them, and then with George Lucas has said that especially the Palpatine is supposed to mirror like George Bush and like his
Wait,
rise in
really?
politics. Yeah, yeah.
Wait, really?
I've never
Yeah,
heard that.
no, I'm
I've
being
never heard
serious.
that either.
Yes, nothing. So basically, like the prequels are very like supposed to be his view on like modern politics and sort of like evil politicians and stuff.
Huh. The more you know, I
Doesn't it?
guess.
I don't know. To me, this it makes it less interesting. I don't know. Maybe because the
Yeah, I
whole
was
we
just
grew
gonna
up when
say,
Bush
I don't
was just a
know.
meme, so it's like whatever.
That
I
is
was gonna
fair.
say, I just want to
I
see
think
what
it's
the dude's
supposed to
recently-
be. I'm sorry, Connor. You
Oh,
go.
sorry, what were you saying?
I was gonna say I just think it's supposed to be like they all because you can explain it of like, oh, Palpatine was like controlling people's minds the whole time, but it's like in I think in George's mind, and I don't want to speak for as if I know, but it's like politicians are bad, they're dumb, they don't know what's really going on, they don't see the big picture, they don't see the rise of the evil politician until it's too late, and you're like, okay, simmer down.
And I would all right, so let's compare that to episode 8 with their talk about like oh, rich people and governments like it's like I feel like the first movie was a little more subtle or the first two movies were more subtle that hey, the government is evil. In episode 8, I feel like it shoves it down your throat like big government's bad, rich people evil. They just want
Well,
your
that's
money. Like
There's nothing subtle about those movies, though. The new ones.
yeah, there's
Oh, no,
nothing
it's
subtle.
completely in your face. It's not supposed to
Yeah.
be subtle. I mean,
No.
But I
Because we're
don't know.
dumb now, you guys. You don't understand. We're all dumb now.
yeah.
And also, and I'm not. Someone might take this as me being like China, but I'm being dead serious. Is that China really runs big blockbuster markets? So it, Disney, especially because they make all the big tentpole franchises, they've catered their movies a little bit more towards the Chinese market to make it just more like pleasable, I guess.
Yeah,
Well,
So
you
they
could
have,
it's like
different
more
versions.
action.
Like,
Yeah,
they
that's true, and
make
they do
different
do
cuts.
censorships and that kind of thing. But it's like more action, less dialogue, and I guess. And
Yeah.
also, we're all just we're mush brains now. I can't.
yeah.
Kyle, you think subtlety exists anymore? You're out of
Not
your
anymore.
mind.
Yeah, I'm out of my mind. Like,
You're as stupid as they say you
and it
are.
makes me really sad to see a big company. I mean, we'll get into it when we talk about Disney, but a big company like Disney just not trying because they know they don't have to try.
Yeah.
They don't have. They could just spoon feed you garbage with a nice pile of shit on top, and boom.
With some nostalgia on the top. I've
Yeah,
literally been saying that for years, like since 2017 before they bought out Fox.
and there you go. And it's yeah, that's a rant for another day.
Yeah.
It's
Anything else about episode 1 or should
yeah.
we go on to 2?
I think we should
Should we move on?
move on to two.
Unless you got okay, let's do it.
All right, let me quickly find the image. Oh no.
You didn't find all these
It's-
pictures before.
I did. It's just ginormous.
I like it. I
Boom.
like it.
Episode 2, baby. Attack of the Clones. Now let me say, for rating this film, I'm giving this, and I know what you guys are gonna think. I'm giving this like an 8 out of 10.
8. Ooh, that's.
Are you serious?
In
Alright,
turn,
well,
I'll explain when everyone
Out.
I'll explain when everyone gives their ratings.
Okay, I'm giving it a solid 5 out of 10. Could be better.
It's been a long time since I've seen this one. I gotta go with a lower score again. It's like a 2.
So
Oh shit.
in terms of the actual film, it's like a 3 out of 10. Like in terms of like taking it seriously, but the memes and the amount of times
my
that I can rewatch it and still laugh at how bad the acting is puts it higher on my list because of how funny it still is.
Oh, I get you. I'm trying
Fair
to
enough.
rate them as movies.
As movies, I'd give it a 3 out of 10.
Yeah.
Like,
Shit,
it's-
the highest one. I don't think it was horrible. I watched it like a couple months ago when I was rewatching all the films, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. Like that I remember it being.
As a kid, I just really hated the romance stuff, and there was so much of that in the movie. So it always bored me. And then I remember watching it a couple years ago, and I don't know. I don't think there's much about it that I really like, but even as an older person, I was still like, man, this romance stuff is so boring
Yeah,
and
and
so poorly acted, and there's no chemistry. And Anakin literally, can I say this on stream? He comes off as like a school shooter kind of vibe.
he
I mean-
comes off as like a spoiled brat kind of, where he's just like pouty when he doesn't get his way.
Yeah, because he shows up in her room, right? I remember this scene, and he's all like, "Hey, like maybe you and me could like just chill," and she's like, "Don't say that," and he's like, "I will anyway, haha." Like Yankee cap no brim, and
It's-
she's like, "Don't say that," and he's like, "But you my shawty, you my boo," and she's like, "Literally, that's disgusting."
Is
And
that
he's all like, "Fuck off."
when he
and it's
talks
like-
about the kiss? He's like, that dreaded kiss you gave me. It gives me
Um,
nightmares.
It might have been. This was like earlier on.
No,
I
this
think
was like
after
before
the
they
big.
were in the Coruscant when they were talking about that.
Oh yeah, this is in the beginning when they're in like her apartment, and he's just like,
Oh,
"Hey," and she's like, "Okay, we shouldn't talk about this," and he's like, "I'm still gonna," and she's like it's so uncomfortable. He's a incel basically.
you know how the movie would end if Padme literally went to the Jedi Council and said, "Hey, this dude's like mad simping for me. I need to like." He just wants to plow and leave. Like, I'm kind of uncomfortable by this. And then boom, he'd be kicked from the Jedi Order, and the rest of the movies never would have happened.
He would have been a gray Jedi. Ooh, that would have been more interesting.
Yeah.
It's just like I don't know. There's just so many things where she could have been like Obi-Wan. Tell your boy here to
Like,
chill.
also, there's like a 15-year difference.
No,
like-
No, it's only like
um,
4 or 5 years, I think.
But I thought when he was in the first movie, he
no,
was
no,
like
he was 8 or 9, and she was like 14.
She was
Yeah, he
14
9
in
and
that
she was
movie?
14. Yeah.
Well, her character, probably not Natalie
Yeah.
Portman.
Oh, I was gonna say she looked like she was like dead as 18 to 20.
Yeah, probably, but her character is supposed to be like 14.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, never mind. I take that back.
It's not as bad, but it's still a little.
No.
It's still a little.
Guys, they're in space. It's a social structure that they don't have up there.
All right,
Fair
so
enough.
for the second movie,
This was a long time ago, if you know what I'm saying.
this was a long time ago.
This is
So for the second film, I think one of the worst parts about it, they gave us the first movie with an epic battle between Darth Maul, Qui-Gon Jinn, and Obi-Wan. This movie had a lot of close-ups in the lightsaber fight, and it just looked like kind of rushed at the end with Count Dooku, Anakin, and Obi-Wan. And
But do
then
you want to know why, Kyle?
why?
Because it was all green screen,
Oh, that's also true. And then
so they like couldn't do anything.
and then Yoda comes in, and I like Yoda, but that entire time it's like, oh, he's just fighting. Oh, who's Count Dooku? What's his actor's name? Do you know?
Christopher Lee.
Yeah, Christopher Lee. He's just swinging at nothing, and they have to like once you remember like, hey, this is a green screen / CG animated, like you're like, oh, he's just swinging at nothing, and they're gonna put that in later in post. Like,
Well, it's not even Christopher Lee doing it. They had a CGI Christopher Lee's face onto like an actor because he was too old to, do the scene.
did they
I wouldn't
really?
doubt it.
Oh, Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee was probably like in his 80s or 70s at that point. He's like, you want me to swing around? What?
What if he was just like Malcolm McDowell? Like they just switched him out with that. He's like, oh, what are you talking about? I don't know. All I can think about is Malcolm McDowell from Home Alone 4, I think.
I don't remember.
One of those.
What were your guys' thoughts on Yoda being this like nimble, agile Kermit the Frog?
I think I like it. I mean, I don't.
For him
it's
being
like-
like the master of all the Jedi, I'm like, okay.
I mean, how else would he be proficient in lightsaber fighting? I mean, he's like what, 2 feet high? You know?
Well, I guess the big argument that I've heard, and I kind of agree with it, is that he's only like 20 years older in the from 3 to 5, and it's like, I don't know, he was always the big thing with Yoda was that he was more in with the Force, and he didn't necessarily have to actually fight,
Well,
and he was more that. And
Well, yeah, but that's
I
like
don't
that's
know.
how like he's like super nimble and everything is because he draws power from the Force for like a little bit.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But he
I don't
couldn't
know.
heal, He couldn't save anyone's lives.
I don't know.
The
I guess,
master
I
of-
don't have
no,
a
no, no,
huge problem.
The master of all Jedi couldn't heal and save anyone.
He couldn't do shit.
He couldn't do
Let's
shit.
Just be real. Cancel
Ray
Yoda.
is
Get on his
stronger than
Twitter.
Yoda.
I don't know. I don't have a big problem with it, but especially as a kid, right? Because as a kid, you don't really know what's good and what's bad. You're just like, yeah, action. But
Action.
looking back, I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't ruin the movie for me, but it is kind of weird to see him like hop around and do his little hopscotch
I
moves.
Yeah, and I think so the entire battle on Geonosis was what hooked me in. I love the clones, also because of the animated series that really drew me into the clones, and also the idea that like it's two sides, and you can have as much death as you want because one side is droids and other is faceless clones. Like that, I'm fine with
That's
that.
actually my problem with it.
Is well
Is 'cause
until
then who gives a shit?
yeah, but then it dives into the clones in the animated series, and it's like, oh shit, they
No,
actually have
I know
personalities and
that. Yeah, I mean, but just watching the movies, if you haven't seen the show, especially because the show came out much after,
Yeah,
much later, it's like, I don't know, that was my big thing. It's like, who cares about robots and basically robots
And-
dying? Like, it doesn't matter.
and I completely agree with that. And that's again Disney struggles with that problem because they wanted to have a defector from the First Order, but also have them be faceless grunts that can die still.
Yeah.
Like that's also an issue
Yeah.
that comes to mind. But for the second movie, I just loved the idea of having these cool. I just liked the armor. I was like, oh my god, these guys look sick.
Oh, yeah, they look great.
And the droids were like these yeah, crazy boys. The English language is escaping me right
Ruthless.
now. Poo poo voodoo.
Ruthless and toothless.
Yes. But I
I
think
mean, yeah, they look great.
also I think that was the first. Yeah, from the first movie, someone gets chopped in half. Second movie gets some arms chopped off, and someone gets beheaded. Like, and that plants the seeds for Boba. And Boba kind of dies a very pathetic death in the sixth movie. But we don't
I
talk
think
about that.
No, I think he actually lived like in the extended whatever.
In the extended, yeah.
I don't. I thought Disney came out and said that wasn't canon anymore.
Oh no,
Well, no,
none
but
of it
I
is.
think
but
Disney came out with like a comic book or something that said that he like escaped or some shit.
Yes, Boba.
So I think he's gonna be in the Mandalorian season 2 or 3.
I never watched The Mandalorian. I really should get around to watching
Oh
that.
my god, dude, the Mandalorian's actually like god tier.
I hear it's pretty good.
It's so good.
I
All
don't
right.
have Disney Plus though. I can't watch any
Shit,
of
dude.
it.
Shit. Should we
I
move
can't watch
on?
any of this juicy content.
Any of these juicy boys. Should we hop onto the third one?
Oh yeah.
All right. Let's play the game of how big the picture's gonna be when I add it in.
It's gonna be so big, guys. It's gonna be so big you won't even believe it. Check this out.
Wait.
Wait for it.
Wait for it.
Wait for it. It's gonna be so big. It's
Wait.
gonna be so big. Oh my god.
Hold on.
Oh my fucking god. It's gonna be so fucking awesome. On this small, tight little screen. Oh my god.
So.
Oh wait, before we move on, can I just say we didn't even talk about like Obi-Wan at all. His side thing with at the diner. I wish they made an entire TV show based on that diner.
That
And
diner
you
was.
get to see like you get to see like Palpatine order like eggs and space bacon and he's like, "Hello." And it's
Yes.
like, little do you know, you're all going to die soon. But that diner survives the fall of Coruscant and is like a thriving business.
Does it? Okay, so the
I
picture's been
hope
added
so.
on.
That's my if I were to write a Star Wars story, no Jedi in it because we've had 17 movies with Jedi in it. It would just be a regular kind of Pulp Fiction slice of life kind of movie.
Is it like Bob's Burgers, except it's
It
the
would be
diner in
like
Coruscant?
Guys, this is my pitch: Bob's Burgers, but Star Wars. Give
I-
me the money.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So on to.
When you watch that, though?
I would watch that. Are you kidding me?
Hell yeah!
So on to the third movie. I'd like to hear Connor your rank first for what you thought of Revenge of the Sith.
10 out of 10. Well, maybe 9.5 out of 10.
Eric.
I'd say it's the best out of the prequels. I don't know, like 6-ish, 7.
I would give it a solid 8, or yeah, around an 8 out of 10. In terms of like film, but in terms of my love, it's a 10 out of 10. Oh my god, the memes in this movie where Palpatine.
Hello
It's
there.
hello there, General
Do it.
Kenobi. Do it.
Do it.
Do you guys know that for George Lucas, he wanted Count Dooku to like beg or like grovel for him not to die, and then he's like, I don't think that would be good for his character, so they took it out.
I didn't know that, but I think that's a smart move.
Yeah, I think that was a good move.
Like, there's this whole background where Count Dooku, like the whole story was supposed to be Palpatine and Count Dooku, like that whole thing goes down. Count Dooku gets captured instead of being killed, so he basically like goes easy on Obi-Wan and Anakin, gets captured and sits in a cell until the clone army turns on the Jedi, and then he becomes the number 2 to Palpatine. But then Palpatine actually wanted Anakin, and so
Right,
Anakin just straight up murdered him.
Well, that's why he's so surprised when Palpatine's like, "Go on, do it." He's like, "Are you serious?
Are you kidding?
I thought we were boys." Wasn't he? Didn't Count Dooku want to kill Obi-Wan though? Like,
He
isn't
did.
there something about that?
No,
So
he
he's like, "I'm
wanted.
gonna
No,
kill
he
you."
wanted to join up with Obi-Wan. He actually respected him a lot because
Oh,
he was Qui-Gon's master. So essentially, he was
Yes.
like almost like a grandfather figure.
right. Oh, okay.
A
I don't know.
grandpappy.
I heard that somewhere where like, I don't know, in the novelization or something like that, some bullshit where it's like Dooku actually wanted to kill Obi-Wan right then and there, but he died instead.
In the
I'm
third,
sure he
yeah.
would have, but I mean,
Yeah.
The-
I don't know.
the third movie basically showed me, hey, this is what happens when space battles are done right.
Yeah.
I loved that space battle. Holy crap. Because it showed that, because a space battle is different from any other battle, because it has more, like, you're not fighting on just the x-axis and maybe the y-axis. You're fighting now on, like, different
The
fronts. Like,
axis.
there could be shit everywhere. and that's also a complaint that I have for Disney. But I just the opening shot where I of course like, oh yeah, no, they were actually in space. No, 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 like all the green screens, the CG, and whatever. That was amazing. It still portrayed like shit's going down right now.
Yeah, for sure.
And the opening was like a really nice way, just to like to introduce you to everything that's going on, to show like, oh yeah, the war's in full swing. Like after the second, because the second movie, you're like, oh shit, they just took down a droid factory. Like what could happen? And they're like, yeah, shit's still going on. But of
All of this
course,
over taxes or whatever.
yeah.
That
And
was in the
then
first one.
we have the acting of Anakin again. Don't
He was a
make
little
me
bit better
kill
in this
you.
one.
From
Like,
my
that's more of like a scripting issue.
from my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
Well,
Like,
the
that's more like
problem
script
is,
though.
yeah, George Lucas is a horrible director, unfortunately, and he wrote all of these ones. He directed all of these. He co-wrote the prequels, and he only directed I mean, he co-wrote the originals and only directed episode 4, and had other people co-write with him on 4 and 6, and other people directed 5 and 6. I mean, um, and it's like, dude, you have these people in these blank ass rooms with this weird stiff dialogue, and it's like, well, the Jedi they don't know what the hell's going on. It's like,
Yeah.
how can you act like that? And
Yeah.
you just give them the worst, dumbest lines. That's my biggest problem with these whole movies. Um, but I do have fond memories of seeing episode 3 in theaters with my dad and my brother, and we actually brought like lightsabers, and when the title card Star Wars came on, we like everybody like turned on their lightsabers. It was a very like big fandom moment,
Yeah.
which was a lot of fun.
I can't remember if I saw it in theaters or not. I was like what 6 or 7 when it came out, 2005.
I think it came out in 2005.
Yeah, so I don't remember if I saw it in theaters, but I do have it on DVD.
Well, it
So I
also brings
can't
up the
remember.
debate that so of course like in the first 3 films we got introduced a lot of villains. Who was like we had General Grievous, we had Darth Maul. I wouldn't say Palpatine was a villain yet because he didn't really have like his
I'd say
giant.
he was.
He had his fight with
He
Yoda.
was, Kyle. He was.
All
But
right,
he was the grand evil
yeah,
mastermind the whole time.
he was the grand evil, but I would say the pawns. Like, who do you think was your favorite pawn? Like Darth Maul, General Grievous, Count Dooku. Like of those three, I guess. I mean, I
Jar
guess we
Jar
could.
Binks for sure.
Oh, 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 oh no.
I think I would have to go with Dooku because the other two are visually cooler because it's all like the red and black and the horns, and then Grievous is the alien and the robot shell kind of thing. They look really cool, but I think Dooku is probably the most compelling because he was a Jedi, and I'm sure they go into it in the show, but there seems to be like a lot you could dive into that, like his backstory and maybe
Which
why he left the Jedi and became a Sith and all that.
which cracks me up because like General Grievous is this dude that collects lightsabers from Jedi that he's killed, and he has like he can wield 4 lightsabers at once, and yet he still gets bodied by Obi-Wan.
Well, to be fair, Obi-Wan's like the best.
Yeah, but it
person
cracks
for
me
the
up
job.
how like this dude, but he can't use the Force either. It just makes me think like I think even Darth Maul could beat him.
No, I doubt it. Because
Darth
Darth
Maul
Maul's very
could be
impressive.
General Grievous,
Where,
maybe.
sorry, what were you saying?
I said Darth Maul versus Grievous, maybe, but what were you gonna say?
Well, I think I'm definitely saying Grievous would win in that fight, just because Obi-Wan pretty much only won that fight because he's so like defensive, and he waits for like the moment to like get in there and cut his hands off, whereas Darth Maul just kind of like is just on the offensive the whole time, just throwing everything he's got. And as like a computer person, he'd probably like read it and analyze it and like definitely punish it.
That's a really good point, actually. The fighting styles, I think Darth Maul would be at a disadvantage.
Wait, is General Grievous just one giant TAS bot?
Yeah.
Just one giant tool assisted speedrun boy, so he can just do everything perfectly. Frame, pixel, frame, pixel, frame perfect jumps. Oh, he wouldn't need anything. He's too good. And then he has a human heart, which Obi-Wan just shoots, and then he dies.
He doesn't have a human heart. He has an alien heart.
Or
He's an alien.
he's an alien, guys. He's alien. Straight
All
out.
of these people are aliens, even the ones who look human.
All right. So after the whole thing with General Grievous, oh, that's where we first meet Chewbacca. Also, I mean, granted, or in terms of like if you watch the movies 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because you meet him in 4,
Yeah,
but you see like
Yeah,
when he's first
think it was-
introduced in 3.
I think it was kind of stupid they included him in there.
It was for 2 seconds, like Chewbacca.
It was just like, hey, look at him, he's here. It's just, you
Yeah.
don't know, it's a bit, and also like Han Solo in the fourth movie is like, the Force. You mean that old hokey religion that fucking isn't real? Like,
Yeah,
when
that's what I
Chewbacca would
mean.
have told him about it, like he was like buddies with Yoda, like the fucking.
Yeah, he's
great
like, no, I
master.
met Yoda.
And Han Solo can understand Chewie, so like, what's
Yeah.
going on here?
Yeah, they understand each other without speaking the same language, which is
Kind of
just,
weird.
boy, I envy that.
Which they showed in the Solo movie. They were just like, oh yeah, Han could always speak Chewie, and it's like, or not Chewie,
He's
could always
learned
speak
it.
Wookiee, and it's like, but
Perfect.
why though? He never lived on Kashyyyk. He never worked with anyone that was
Oh my
Wookiee.
God. Well, the whole point of that movie is if you've ever had a single thought about anything Han Solo, we're gonna answer it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And,
and
there-
it didn't work out
and I
too
never
well.
watched it because I don't give a shit where he got his name, where he got his blaster, how he met Chewie, what the fuck the Kessel Run actually. I don't care about any of that stuff. It's fun to just imagine or just guess or
It-
just be like, well, I think they met like through a cool adventure,
Yeah,
and you can make it up in your mind. And that's kind of a weird issue that I also have with the prequels. It's like some of it makes sense, but some of it's like, dude, you just gotta know like every little detail of like, okay, so Yoda goes to meet Chewie, but then he has to leave to go to the
Dagobah, yeah,
Dagobah
yeah.
system. It's like, okay, like, but do we even need Chewie in that scene, or was it just like the guys?
Well, I think they
Remember that character.
Yeah, they really kind of just tossed him in to be like, oh, shit, man, and that's very early, like, hey guys, remember, like, the members 4, 5, and 6, like, this is Chewie, hey guys, which I don't see, like, it's okay, like, they didn't really need that scene.
Yeah, it was just kind of shoehorned in. But I mean,
Yeah,
It-
it,
it
wasn't
doesn't
a
take
bad
too
scene. It
much
just
away
was
from it.
pointless.
It's just there.
I don't think they were trying to like, cause like, I don't know, I didn't get that feeling they were trying to pander, be like, oh my god, that's Chewie. I hope he's not relevant later, and it's like, haha, that's called foreshadowing. Like that's how I feel.
Yoda looks right into Chewie's eyes and goes, "You will have grave importance in 20 years. Mark my words. I'm Yoda.
Yeah, that's
I
how
know shit."
I feel like the Disney movies. They look at me and they go, hey, this is called foreshadowing. I'm trying to be subtle about it, but I'm really not.
Well, the thing with the Disney ones is that they don't foreshadow; they just reference the previous ones.
And they're like, hey guys,
Yeah.
remember when we were good?
Remember when we didn't own this and it was pretty okay for the most part?
Yeah. And then so the third movie also had Order 66, which I think
Yeah.
is
Oh my
amazing.
god.
It's
Music
always
score,
yeah.
fantastic.
And I'm
I've
glad
seen the clips for. Oh, sorry, Kyle.
Oh, sorry. I'm glad they showed Order 66 more to the not main characters. Like when they showed it in the games, like the EA
Oh, it's
Respawn
the Force
Entertainment,
Unleashed.
not Force Unleashed. Well, with Cal,
Yeah, Fallen
the
Order.
yeah, Fallen Order with Cal Kestis, where they show Order 66 again, and they also show with Ahsoka Tano in the show. Like it's so interesting to see Order 66 happen to other people, where we don't know if they're gonna live or not. I mean,
Yeah.
for Ahsoka, for
Well,
Ahsoka,
you know Ahsoka's gonna live.
because
but,
they showed her in Rebels, so you're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
she's going to live.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, hold on. Where was Ahsoka when like fucking like the sixth movie was going on? Because she was alive.
Yeah, they don't know. Like-
She's supposed to be in The Mandalorian though,
Yeah. Well,
which
the
takes
Mandalorian- yeah,
place
Mandalorian-
in between 6 and 7, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it takes place like a couple of years after six, I believe.
I mean,
Yeah,
technically she
so-
dies. She dies in
Well, they bring her
Rebels.
back.
and then
Well,
Ezra
technically she
brings her
doesn't
back.
die.
Yeah,
Technically she does not die because they use like a little time loop and grab her before she dies.
yeah. And then they can't do
Oh,
that for
okay.
the other guy, for the other Jedi.
Yeah. Well, she technically dies in the Clone Wars, but then like the Force God like gives her life back or some shit.
Dang,
You see the
bro.
episode?
I gotta watch this show.
Oh my god, it's so good.
I
A,
mean,
a
yeah,
guy in high school though, he kind of turned me off to the show because he was like, "It's so good." I'm like, "Great," and he goes, "Oh, but like this season and this season are bad, but you watch them anyway." And I'm like, "No, like,
I
You don't have to watch
like,
any. It's an
but
anthology
the
series. You don't
yeah.
have to really watch.
he didn't
First
tell me
season's
that
kind of
though, so I didn't know that."
first season's kind of shit because they're just kind of figuring out what to do with it.
It
Literally every other
Sure.
season is fantastic.
well, so the
It
first
just
season.
to
Sorry.
go on a small rant, he was the same guy who was like, "Oh yeah, watch Supernatural. The first 6 seasons are pretty trash, but keep
Oh
watching it."
my,
I'm like, I'm not gonna watch
yeah.
6 seasons of shitty TV.
I love
Like,
that.
that's
Oh
not
my
how you
god.
sell something,
I
you
had
fool.
it's just like, yeah, skip 6 seasons, like, but isn't there like an overarching story that I need to follow though? Like,
It's like, no, 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 no. It's really bad. Watch it. It's bad. Keep watching it. There's 24 episodes in each season. This
that's
is gonna take you like
hours.
3.5 years. It's
Hours.
like if you go to a restaurant, right? And you're like, all of this food except for the pasta is bad. It's like, well, I don't want pasta though. I
Yeah.
wanted chicken, but the
Literally,
chicken's
like,
apparently dry. It's like,
eh,
fuck off. Don't tell me that then.
yeah. It's it.
Anyway, that was my small rant of why I never watched the Clone Wars shows because someone was like, "Oh yeah, it's pretty bad, but watch it." I'm like, "No."
Oh my god, that could not be further from the truth. It's
It's
like
I mean, not
probably the
that it's
best.
bad, but like like this season's kind of bad. That one's sort of boring. It's like, then why
I
would I
wouldn't
watch it?
I wouldn't say it's boring. I'd say well, they literally make Anakin a good character. Like, you'd be
Yeah,
surprised
he's
how
the reason
Anakin's
why
not a whiny little bitch.
he's like my
And that's
actual
what
favorite
confuses
character.
me. That's what kind of bums me out is that when you watch that movie and then you see, I mean, when you watch that show, then you see episode 3, aren't you like, man, what happened to you?
Yeah,
It's
man,
almost
what
like you're
happened?
If
played by a
anything,
different
for
actor.
And it
for me,
cracks me up.
it just kind of adds to it, I guess. It, like adds more like complexity to him, and it makes
And
me enjoy the prequels more.
yeah, so for the
But if
TV
you're like a
show,
fully developed character, and then in the movie you're a two-dimensional plank of wood, aren't you like, what happened? This is boring.
that's also
Yeah,
true.
that's fair enough.
But for the TV show, for season 1, I would say, like, I mean, for the animation quality, it does get better, just
Yeah,
because, like,
Yeah,
of course,
oh,
as
sure.
time goes on. I would say that it got better when they got threatened of it being canceled.
yeah,
So I don't remember what season they were told, like, hey, this might get canceled, but then they just went all out. They're just like, yeah, we're gonna throw everything on the table, and people loved it. So
That's pretty
I would
true.
agree. Season 1 is like,
you could just
it,
avoid that season. It doesn't even like,
yeah,
and you don't even need it because it's like you can
it
watch any episode
it's
at any point, and it's really
it's kind of bland, but it's still enjoyable to watch because some of the stuff is pretty cool. And I would say every episode it opens up with like a little like quote, and it always talks about the theme of the episode. And I would say
yeah,
the theme is a little subtle. I wouldn't claim that it's like, oh, you didn't see it coming, but I feel like you learn a little something at the end of each episode.
yeah. You like learn with the characters.
Yeah, and Ahsoka starts off as a oh my god. Ahsoka
Yeah,
starts off and I'm like, I'm gonna hate this character. And then after a couple episodes I'm like, oh my god, she actually grew up and learned not to be a terrible person. I'm loving
I
this.
wouldn't call her a terrible person. I mean,
Or
she's
not a
just a
terrible person.
brat, but
She's just
Kyle
a
just
brat.
hates women, apparently.
No, no, no. But it's still amazing. All right, so back to episode 3, of course. um
yeah.
so we passed Order 66. Now we have the scene where Anakin and Obi-Wan face off on Mustafar, which
oh
I
my
think
god, music score again, fantastic.
it has a very emotional ending, and it's just like, oh wow, like you see where Anakin becomes Darth Vader, and I mean he becomes Darth Vader earlier in the movie, but he truly
Yeah, when he
accepts it.
kills Mace Windu.
Yeah, he kills Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. I mean, again, because I haven't seen the show, and when I'm talking about these movies today, I'm just trying to go off of as an individual movie and then as part of the trilogy that it's in. And it's like, I get why you're supposed to care about Anakin and Obi-Wan fighting, but you don't see them really have a good relationship from any of the other movies.
They just say it.
So
They're just like, hey,
exactly, which
remember
is
this
not how
moment?
you should do it. Yeah, which isn't you shouldn't tell and you should show not tell. But so when they're fighting and he's like, you were my brother," it's like, were you though? And it's like I understand why you're supposed to care, but I kind of just didn't really the last time
Yeah.
because like there's not really a reason other than you're supposed to me anyway.
It
Yeah,
also cracks me up that if Anakin had killed Obi-Wan, I think based on like what the theories have explained, he was just gonna kill Palpatine and just take over the galaxy.
yeah, fair enough. I don't know
Like,
why he would
interesting.
do that. He didn't seem like his
Yeah,
whole
it never
interest.
really seemed like he was really about that kind of end goal.
he wasn't.
Well,
Yeah.
they mention it a little bit in the second movie where he's talking about like how his ideal government would be essentially a dictatorship.
I mean, he killed all the
Oh
Tusken
yeah, I forgot
Raiders.
about that.
I killed all of them. I slaughtered them. Not just the men,
Like
but the like
animals
animals.
The
and the
women, the children
women
too.
and the children.
And the entire
Did,
time I'm
did,
like,
did,
Padme,
did you kill
call
the
the
men
fucking
too?
Jedi Council. This
Yo,
shit cannot
Padme,
go
call
unchecked.
the police.
Like,
Dead ass.
he literally just
Call the
murdered people just because his mother died. Isn't the Jedi way supposed to be like, hey, yeah, man, like that shit hurts, but we're not supposed to react to that shit? He's just like, yeah, I'm gonna murder all these guys. Hold my beer.
Anakin wasn't a good Jedi though because he let all of his emotions. I mean, that was the whole point, right? His emotions and all that like led to his downfall and all that. But
Yeah, I mean, to be fair,
still,
the Jedi
bro.
were not perfect. They kind of
No, they weren't. And I'm
kind of
so
run them.
glad. I'm so glad that Luke actually said that in Episode 8. He's like, they were so dumb they let everything happen, and you're like, oh yeah, they kind of did, didn't they?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
he even goes to Mace Windu. He's like, I think Palpatine is the grand Sith Master we've been hunting for, and he just turns to him and goes, "Oh no!" He's like, "I think Palpatine's a Sith Lord." And Samuel Jackson, cool as a cool
He's just
cucumber,
like a
can't even
Sith
talk.
Lord.
He yeah, he just goes, "A Sith Lord," and he goes, "Well, I have to do some emails, but I'll look into this when I can." And then
Yeah.
they all just get sliced in half
Not like
in his
holy
little
fuck,
like
like
Well,
office.
also keep
Yeah,
in
he's
mind.
just is so calm. He's like, huh.
Well, keep in mind,
Sorry.
Count Dooku literally told Obi Wan in the second movie that who Palpatine was. And they didn't do anything about it.
Yeah, so it's all their fault. Like I
Yeah.
have no sympathy for these stupid religious monks. They're fools.
their egos got the better of them, and there you go, they lost, and then they all got murdered,
Yeah, you can't win them all.
and then so the movie ends, and they have Palpatine just be like, yo, yeah, you killed your wife, dog. Like, hey, Anakin, if he knew the Force well enough, he could have saved her. But what do I know?
I mean, he did kill her.
He did
Wait,
kill
we
her.
didn't talk about that scene though. We didn't talk about the beautiful weird
Where he just Force chokes
opera
her.
scene where he no in the beginning earlier when he goes like, "Is it possible to learn such a power?" And he goes, "Not from a Jedi."
Yeah, and he's just like, if you to save your wife, and Anakin's just like,
Best scene in the
huh?
movie though,
He
for real.
is the Dark Lord, but he could save my wife. And now it doesn't matter because
Hmm.
literally, like someone like Ray could have done it, but it's just like And this whole movie, they shouldn't have had healing. Take away healing because that was just like, oh, Anakin, the chosen one, couldn't heal. Like,
Yeah. I don't know. I think they used it mainly just to show Kylo's
Well, we'll
like,
get to
redemption arc. We'll get to it though.
we will. We should probably get on to the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on. Let's go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back.
All right, we'll take a quick bathroom break. Eric, you could if you're still chilling, why don't you could plug your channel? I don't know.
Of course.
Yes.
So my name is Eric, right? And I make YouTube videos. I make short films and sketches. YouTube.com/authentic. And just about maybe 2 months ago, I started a gaming channel called Authentic Games. It's me and usually two other friends playing a game together, telling stories, telling jokes, talking about movies, making up weird movie premises. Like Three Guys in a Car is like our kind of big ongoing movie that we've been fake writing. Yeah, so check all that out, I guess. Is anyone? Well, I have to use the bathroom too, so hold on.
Let's go. Welcome back. We should. Is there anything else we want to cover in the third movie? Oh, I think Eric left. Okay. Hello, everyone. This is actually the midway point of hot takes and tier lists. I just realized we're an hour in and we just discussed the first three films.
Are we really an hour in?
Yeah, we're 55 minutes in and we made it through the first three films.
All right. Well, I mean, we can maybe speed run because I feel like the next few movies aren't like there's not like a whole lot to talk about.
Yeah. Once we get through those three, then or the next six, or eight actually. Oh crap! I'd say probably just keep it to 2 hour minimum.
Okay.
That should be fine. Yeah.
Okay. Word.
And if not, we just make it a second episode where we keep discussing it.
Yeah, I feel like Disney might need a whole fucking second episode.
Disney will.
Yeah,
Disney will need a
probably.
while.
If we spend this long in the prequels, fucking my god, it's gonna be
Alright.
a while.
Let me switch the picture for Revenge of the Sith.
When
is
you
it-
guys rewatch these movies, though, do you do it 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, or do you do it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess me too. But sometimes I'm just like, screw it, I just want to watch the good ones.
That's fair. All right. On to. Oh my god. Oh, let me shrink this down. Let me move this.
Kyle, that's what you said last night to your girlfriend, huh?
And then I
Because you're just a monster one, huh?
monster one. No
He's
one
got
saying.
a monster dongus.
Okay.
Oh, look at that. Look at that beautiful poster.
So I'm gonna rate this easily a like 9 or 10 out of 10
For the fourth movie,
for the fourth movie.
I'm going with 6.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'd go. I don't really rate movies like numerically. I'd go like 6 or 7.
Okay.
this
For its
movie.
time, I'd maybe give it an 8.
Yeah,
But
like I'm rating
yeah,
this
for
like
its
when I
time, it's
first
great.
saw this when I was a little kid. Oh my god! Like to start it off to have for a film to have just like I don't know, like this is what like the fourth and fifth movie are the ones that got me hooked into Star Wars.
Yeah.
the prequels did it for me, and then I watched the originals. So maybe that's why I'm a little biased, but
That's fine.
Honestly, I grew up with the originals than the prequels.
Yeah, originals then prequels and then Disney. But I would say for episode 4, like not using the prequels, so like going in thinking just like, oh, I've never seen any other media other than this film, like how someone would feel back when this movie first came out. Like, holy crap!
If I could go on a bit of a rant, I totally agree with what you're saying, Kyle. No, like a good rant.
But you're
'cause-
wrong.
No. I'm not saying in any way that you're wrong. It is like from going if you do watch them prequels to in numerical order, even though it takes place. I mean, it was made decades before. It's like there's so much craft to the fourth one, and it's a pretty well made movie, and the obstacles they had to go to make it and for it to even come out like halfway decent is kind of a miracle based on all of the problems they had filming it.
Yeah.
But just the entrance of Vader, like the entrance of Vader to me, I don't know, there was nothing really like it in the prequels, and there was just the music, of course, but also the way the actors interacted with him, the way his presence on screen, the camera angles and the shots. It's like you just immediately are like, okay, this is like the baddest dude in the war in the galaxy, because especially if you watch the fourth one first, you don't know about Palpatine, but it's like, dude, this guy is like the man. Like,
This
and
dude
even though-
fucks.
yeah, this guy's he raw dogs.
Dude.
But it's like even though the guy is like, oh, the force is stupid and you're just some like relic, he just chokes him out. He doesn't give a shit. It's like even though they kind of make fun of him, he's like, and he's, I find your lack of faith disturbing and all that stuff. It's like he's a very menacing presence on screen.
Yeah, I agree with that. My
Yeah.
only problem with the movies, like since they're like obviously older movies, they come off a little boring. Especially the fourth one. It's like very kind of hard to get through because it's like what is it like? It's 2.5 hours long. If I'm
Is it
mis-
really?
Is it?
No,
It's
I think it's probably like 2.
oh, okay, well, it seems like it's 2.5 hours. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and
I'll
I
look it
do
up
agree there.
actually.
But I think during that time having like when
Oh,
you
it's
watch
2 hours and 5 minutes.
damn, when you
Okay.
watch like behind the scenes and you see that some of the stuff they did was practical
Yeah.
effects with like a blue screen, that's
Mhm.
amazing. Like it's just shrunken down figures that
Oh
they
yeah,
would
all the
shoot with.
miniatures are
Yeah,
great.
that's so cool. And
I mean,
also
I
the fact
respect it.
what?
Like I respect the films for like, especially for the time, they're really great. It's just looking back on them, it's sometimes it's hard to sit through them.
I
That's fine.
definitely see what you're saying because I
Yeah.
do think it's like, well, the fourth one, right? Because 4, 5, and 6 were all supposed to be like in George Lucas's mind. He said that it's like they're all supposed to be one movie, and 4 is like Act 1, and 5 is Act 2, and 6 is Act 3, and it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, and the fourth one definitely is not my favorite because they have to do all of this sort of world building, and it is pretty slow.
Yeah.
And the action really only starts like once they get to the Death Star.
I mean, they
Yeah.
had a really I think during the time seeing the Star Destroyer open up chasing the Tantive 4, I think that's like showing the scale of the Empire in the 1st
Mhm.
opening scene. Like that must have
Yeah.
like I know watching it today it's like, "Oh, I know all this stuff." But back then it's like how big could they possibly be? Like these are giant crafts that are descending down upon these guys. Also the fact that I'm just a huge fan of James Earl Jones and him voice acting Vader is just oof, he does it
Chef
perfectly.
kiss.
I know
Yes.
like and especially so when you meet Luke, I think the best part about 4, 5 and 6 is that Luke grows. Luke changes. He goes from this
He's
pon-
like a whiny bitch in the first one.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
exactly what Anakin is, but then he actually changes cuz he's like, "Oh, I'm not going to be Anakin. I'm not going to be my father." Even though he doesn't know who his
Yeah,
father is.
he actually has like good influences and like, you know.
Yeah. And all right, so episode 4, of course you meet R2D2 again. Like he comes back with C3PO with from the rebellion, and you do meet him in episode 1 cuz it is cool to see C3PO cuz in the prequels you see Anakin was working on him, and then in episode 4 he's fully built. Or in episode 3 he's fully built,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then it goes
No,
over to 4.
episode two.
Well, in
he's
2, but he
built.
doesn't have the gold in
Yeah, yeah.
episode 2.
It's interesting to see just like how everyone grows as you watch the films. That's also like a cool point. Just because you feel like you grow up with them. And
Yeah.
then you get to 4 and you have I think Vader, that's a perfect way. Like in Rogue One, they at the end having him in there is like, "Oh, that's really intense." But having him just walk in and be like this huge figure that just dominates the screen, I think that's perfect.
That's what I said earlier.
I know, like
Kyle.
I'm just like doubling down on it, just how perfect you made it sound, Eric. Like just
Thank
how
you.
like it's just like
It's a great entrance.
it shows that he is a very good villain and that he should be feared. And then he just strangles the guy. He picks him up and then strangles him
Okay,
just to
picks
use
him
the
up,
force.
that's right. Picks him up. I think that's probably better is to show that he's physically strong, and then with the force,
Yeah.
show that he's strong with the force. That's smart.
And then
I mean, yeah. God, though, now that I'm remembering it, it's like everything with C3PO and them in the beginning is pretty slow and dull. Like them just
Yeah.
kind of going through the desert.
with the
Um,
Jawas and
yeah. Then he meets Luke, right? They meet Luke at the tag sale basically,
yeah.
and he gets the call to action, and that's kind of boring too.
Which yeah, but I do like how because in 4 Obi-Wan really paints that like oh, the universe is ginormous and there's so much going on in it. And this one guy who I knew was my like an old friend, and he doesn't even he like Obi-Wan knew that Anakin became what he was. He just didn't tell Luke until Luke questions him later. I think believe episode 5 or 6.
It was in 6.
In 6, yeah, yeah.
Well, no, it was in 5 because he. Oh no, yeah. I mean, he is told by Vader in 5, but then in 6, he's like,
Obi-Wan, why didn't you
"Is he
say
really?"
anything?
He's like, "Is he really my dad?" It's like, yeah, he wouldn't lie about that. He's evil, but he's not a liar.
Honest Vader
I
over
mean,
here.
could you imagine? It's like, hey, you're that weird hermit, Ben Kenobi. Yes, I am. Also, your dad is Vader. Like, could you imagine he just said that right off the bat? That'd be so dumb.
It's like,
Yeah.
hi, my name's Obi-Wan. What's your name? Luke Skywalker? Oh, do you know your dad is like murdering millions of people right now as Darth Vader? It's like, huh?
I
What?
brought you here as a child.
What?
And of course, like, I would also, looking at it from the perspective of back then, I did not expect Obi-Wan to die. Cause
Yeah.
back then the cliche of like the mentor dying on the hero's journey wasn't really a cliche back then. It slowly became one as time went on. But once Obi-Wan was like, "Oh, you strike me down," and then he like lifted the lightsaber up to his head, I was like, "Uh-oh, he's gonna die."
What a cool line, though. Still,
And it's true
you
because
strike me down.
he becomes a
Uh,
Force ghost, and now he can't
Yeah.
die as a Force ghost
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
I mean, he's dead technically, but
He lives on through the spirit world.
yes. And
Yeah. No, that's a cool line.
you meet Han and
I
Chewie,
do really
and
like.
yeah, I do.
Yeah, I really like how Luke and Han don't get along at first.
Also,
Um,
cause like that. Remember the whole thing with Guido and Han shooting first, or Greedo. I just
Yo, that fucking Guido.
no, I didn't mean.
Jersey Shore watching piece of shit.
I was
Mike
just like, it's either
Mancini.
an R, and I was like, ah, dang it. But Greedo, remember in the updated version, they have Han's head move in such a static way because of editing.
Oh,
Yeah, because they literally like crop his head a little bit and like shift it.
Yeah, like why
Oh,
couldn't they
it's so
just keep
bad.
it?
I think George Lucas had this weird issue of like Han's a good guy.
He wouldn't shoot
He shouldn't
first.
shoot first. It's like, but he wasn't a good guy in the fourth one. All he cared about was the money.
And
He didn't give
himself,
a
yeah.
shit about anyone. Yeah, exactly. And then at the end, especially of the first one, but then especially at the end of the third one, it's like he grew. That's the point.
Yeah, and at the
To
end
have
of
him not
4,
shoot first.
he
Yeah,
come
it's
he
weird.
comes in. He's like, I'm actually gonna save you guys, and not care about myself for once. And yeah, I agree. Like people need to grow and change.
Yeah.
And let's see. So they get captured. That
How
whole
could
scene, I think
was
it's
it a factor?
before that where Han is talking. He's like, everything's fine. How are you? That killed me when I first saw that.
Oh, over the like the intercom.
Yeah,
yeah.
Oh, that's yeah, that's so funny.
I mean, I'm still a fan of him. Like I watched Indiana Jones. I didn't watch the new film he was in. The one with the CGI dog. I don't know what it's called, but whatever
Yeah.
Harrison Ford was in, like you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I
What
know.
a dog's purpose?
A dog? Yeah, maybe.
No, because that wasn't him. That was like Dennis Quaid or something.
I know what movie you're talking about, Kyle.
Let me
I
see.
never watched it, obviously,
Never.
but
Oh, The Call of the Wild.
Oh, that.
It was directed. It was directed by Chris Sanders, who also did The Croods. Oh,
Those were
God.
two movies I haven't seen.
Yeah. But
How
I
could
am.
George Lucas make a better movie in like 1970 whatever than in 2002, 1999, and 2005?
God, I wish I could tell you the answer.
How do you do that? I want to
it's
meet
probably
him
because he
in the
relied
most.
more on special effects rather than actually like
That's true.
creating a good story.
That's true. Yeah, I would love to ask him in a very nice way somehow. It would take me months to figure out the phrasing, but I would just be like, yeah, how come Star Wars the original is a better made movie than 1, 2, and 3 with characters that grow and better, you know,
I think it's also the
everything.
actors. I think it's just like because the actors also play. If you have a good script
I
and a
mean,
bad actor,
yeah,
that could kill it.
but when you have a bad script
That yeah,
and actors who can't really do anything with the material,
that
because
also.
Ewan
Like,
McGregor's a really good actor. Making Samuel Jackson a stoic Jedi Knight was probably not a good idea because he's the most like expressive, loud actor in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, especially at that time, right? I think coming out of Pulp Fiction and stuff.
That's like a more Morgan Freeman like. Morgan
Yeah,
Freeman's more stoic and more
yeah.
laid
Could you
back and
could you imagine one summer, seeing Pulp Fiction? You're like, dude, that Samuel Jackson, he was crazy,
and
man.
then
He was up to like 11. And then the next summer, even though it didn't come out the very next summer, like the next movie you see him in is episode 1, and he's like, we believe you are the one to bring balance to the force. You're like, what the fuck is that?
what happened to I double dare you,
Say
motherfucker?
it again,
Say it again, I
motherfucker.
double dog dare you. Oh,
Yeah,
what a good
like,
movie.
and then his whole scene where it's like where he says that that whole like Bible verse in the apartment before they get shot at, but then all the bullets miss.
It makes me think of good
Imagine seeing
times,
that
Eric.
scene.
Good
Yeah,
times.
imagine seeing that scene and then just going to from that to a Sith Lord.
A Sith Lord? I'll do this later when I'm on my lunch break.
Yeah,
But the
if we have
ending,
time, man.
I
Hmm.
think having the Death Star, it, it puts them in a weird perspective because you have something that destroys planets and this giant battle station, and it gets destroyed. And that does bring the issue like what could be a greater villain than something that destroys battle stations. And I like how they 2 movies later just bring it back again because
Also, how did they bring it back again? Because like they
They-
show
In
it in
such
the
a
third
short period
movie,
of time.
yeah.
starting it.
But I'm
That was like
glad
what, 20 years.
but I'm glad it shows. I mean, there is a time passage between 5 and 6, and I'm glad it shows it's not fully built. So it's like, hey, it's not like we could build this in a day. Like it's gonna take us some time.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
and it's like, I'm fine with Luke and like using the Force and destroying the Death Star and everything, and Han coming back. Like I think overall it's a good film, and I think that like it it gets not wrecked, but the movie after it, I think is better.
Yes.
I think Empire
Um,
Strikes Back is amazing. It,
I
it's
think it's one of the better ones.
yeah.
I think it's the best one, honestly.
It's a
just
tough tie
film
between
wise.
Revenge of the Sith. I think Revenge of the Sith, in my opinion, is a bit better.
I would put
But
like in my opinion, it goes like 6-5 or 5-4-3. Like my top 3 movies are 5-4-3.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that one.
I'd go 6-5, or no, fuck, sorry. 6 or no 3-5-6, and then so on.
What's kind of interesting about Star Wars, because even though George Lucas had this bigger plan for it, whether or not it was all fully fleshed out by the point, but it's a pretty good just if you just watch Episode 4 and for whatever reason you never see another Star Wars movie again, there's still tons of questions left, which I think is good because if a movie answers every single question, then it's kind of boring. But it's a pretty good self-contained movie as well.
Yeah, you don't feel like you're lost. Where because episode
Yeah.
5 doesn't begin right after 4. Like
No.
of course like they're on Hoth and there's some time that's passed and it's not like, "Oh, I'm here to answer all your questions about 4." It's like, "No, like more questions get raised in 5 and then like it just keeps
Yeah.
going."
Yeah. I would say in 5 they I mean, I guess in more vague terms they answer questions where it's like you're asking like what's the force, and they're like, oh, it's this this thing that binds us. You're like, okay, abstract, but I think I get it.
Yeah. They
And you get a little bit more world building and you learn more about the empire. Well, actually you that whole like the empirical force and stuff, but it's never like some dude giving you a huge chunk of exposition being like, this is what's going on.
and they make episode 5 really feel like like for episode 5 there wasn't a like they didn't need a giant baddie. They had Vader. So they
They
used
kind of reeled it in a little bit
yeah,
to an extent.
they didn't need a planet destroying weapon. They didn't need like this giant threat. Like Vader was the threat and he was very like intimidating. And it was perfect to have I mean, we should probably switch it over to talking about episode 5 now because we've gotten
Yeah.
into it. Let me quickly switch that on over. But
It must be interesting. Oh, actually, you know what's funny? George Lucas didn't even write this one at all. Like, not even co-write. I don't think.
Really?
But yeah, and he didn't direct it either. Ivan Krishnar directed it. He did a great job, but also Lawrence Kasdan, his son, co-wrote some of the more recent ones, and I feel like Star Wars is so desperate now. They're like, we're gonna get the son of the guy who wrote the good one, and therefore our movie will be good.
yeah,
Oh yeah, that's how that
But
works.
anyway,
I want to do a
totally.
quick TED talk, a quick rant. Yeah, so for Star Wars Episode 5, I'm quickly going to give it like a 9 or 10 out of 10 because I love the film. Anyone who tries to tell me, remember when Ryan Johnson came out and said Empire Strikes Back would have been criticized or that it was a bad film? Yeah, people
I
who
don't
try.
think so.
So
He
Ryan,
said that.
yeah, Ryan Johnson came out and tried to say that anyone, and I got into not an argument, but a heated debate at my college when someone tried to tell me that Star Wars Empire Strikes Back is a bad movie, and the only reason people like it is because time has went on. Yeah,
Go fuck off.
Empire
Who is that
Strikes.
guy?
I will not give names, but Empire Strikes Back.
Give me his name and address right now.
Empire Strikes Back won the People's Choice Awards for favorite movie in 1981. Don't fucking at me that it was a bad film. If people literally 1981 were like, "Yeah, bro, this is actually god tier." Like this movie, you can't the fact that someone
It's so good.
the fact that and this is of course like a stroking that bias, but it's like this movie is it's just good. Like
No. Objectively, I
objectively
know
good.
people say film isn't objective; it's subjective. On paper, this sequel does everything a sequel should do, and does it well.
Yeah.
So objectively, this is a good
It
movie.
yeah,
10 out of 10.
it's because people were salty about episode 8 or 9 or whatever, whichever one the middle one
For
was.
Ryan Johnson to say that 5 isn't good, he probably shouldn't have recycled so much from 5 in
And
his movie.
you know what cracks me
Boom.
up? I don't
said it.
hate Ryan Johnson. Like I was a
I
fan.
do.
I enjoy.
Personally.
So
Oh, I don't
in
wish him ill will, but he didn't make a very
yeah,
good, compelling movie, in my
but
opinion.
I enjoyed Knives Out. Like
Oh,
if he.
see, I still haven't seen it, but I've wanted to.
Oh, okay. So my opinion is, as long as he doesn't work on Star Wars, he's fine.
And he did Looper too with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. That movie was pretty cool.
Like it shows that he's competent, but then he does Star Wars, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have a character that wouldn't be in the Star Wars universe, who I'd be friends with in high school." He said that about Rose. He's like, "Yeah, she shouldn't be in Star
That's
Wars,
mad
but I'd be
funny.
friends with her. This is a character I'd be friends with in high school." And I'm like, "Oh my god,
Someone
then why is she in there?"
someone asked him to make the movie, and he was like, "I'm not gonna do what you want." And they're like, "That's okay. Take risks." And he's like, "I'm gonna set up." So because I think Star Wars, and also movies like obviously have their own language, but specifically Star Wars has like a very specific narrative language, and Ryan Johnson would like put something in, and his whole subversion of expectations, where it was like, I'm gonna do this, and because it's Star Wars you think this will happen, but in reality I'm gonna flash my titties at you, and it's like, what? And then Ryan Johnson's just like mooning the audience for 2.5 hours, and it's like, you thought that the bad guy was actually like the bandit with a heart of gold, but he doesn't have a heart of gold, he turns him in. Fucking losers. And it's like, then what's the like? Then do something different. Don't literally do the same thing as other movies and say, no, this is new because instead of 2 + 2 = 4, I made it 5.
And it's just but
Fuck off,
back
Ryan
to
Johnson.
Empire Strikes Back. This
Yes,
film,
sorry.
yeah. The quick rant aside, this movie. So I'm gonna guess you guys hold it to an 8 or above in terms of ranking.
I
I'm
just said
going
it.
for
10 out of 10.
Yep,
I do 9.
9. Yeah. The movie, it opens and it once again shows that there can be conflict without there being an oil problem. Like holy shit. Sorry. Back to
An oil problem.
or gas. Back to fucking Disney. Um, but it shows that there can be an issue that like the rebels are on the run, they've hunkered down in this base, and the Empire wasn't like, oh yeah, by the way, we know where they are. They had to send out the probe droids, and then the probe droids found out where they were, which is a healthy way to show, yeah, we found them, not like, oh, we just knew, we had a feeling, we know where they are.
It also shows like their like the Empire's presence throughout the galaxy.
Yeah.
Like they have
Yeah.
like drones like everywhere.
I mean, this movie, I don't know if this will make sense, but like I was saying, it makes everything, you get rid of the giant Death Star and you make it the stakes are raised, but it's more personal and more
Yeah.
like on a smaller scale. Um, yeah.
Oh wait, can I quickly, guys, cut you off really quick? I actually
No.
got someone in the chat going. So real question is, when is the face cam gonna finally come? OMG, wait, can I ask a question? Yes, you can ask a question on the topic of Steer Wars. Um,
This
and
is our show, buddy. You listen and we ask the questions here, buddy,
we
Mr.
asked
Man.
Mr. Man. But in terms of the face cam will come when I get 100 followers. That is the goal, and I am
Shit.
past halfway there. But shoot away with your question while we talk about how much we love this movie and fanboy over this movie because, oh my god, everything about this film, even the space
They,
work.
they fixed like the boring part about it, like from the old, like the for number 4, it was really like kind of boring in a sense. This was like still an old timey movie, so it still had like the kind of like boringish like style of audio, but still captivated me, I guess.
It also showed Luke.
I mean, it starts right on the action too, for
Yeah.
the most
Yeah.
part.
It showed the Empire bringing in this new giant wait, dang, when ref doesn't pay attention. No, I said you could ask your question. I'm listening. Don't I this we all were here. I have the proof. I said 100 followers. The face cam will come at 100 followers, and you can't ask a question, Tem. What is your question, good sir? Oh, Eric, you're in the chat too.
Yeah.
But them introducing the new walkers really shows, like, speak up. Oh my god. No, don't hate on the port. This guy.
I'm just kidding.
So-
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So in Star Wars, how do they think in the theory of Jar Jar actually being? Yo, we all think Jar Jar is the bad guy.
Oh yeah, we even brought this up earlier when we were
Yeah.
talking about 2 or 3 probably or 1. They should have brought Jar Jar back for the Disney ones if only he was the bad guy all along.
Like for the Naboo instead of Palpatine.
Yeah, that would have been great.
And also
Or if
my
they didn't kill Snoke off,
Yeah.
if they made Jar Jar Snoke.
and then he goes, and also my own option, my favorite Star Wars movie. Oh, hello Neziaki. My favorite Star Wars movie has to be Rogue One. No, I would say that's fair.
Well, when we get to Rogue One, I'd like to circle back to that.
Yeah, we will circle back to Rogue One. I don't know if we're gonna get to it today, but we will. Hey, look who's here. Hello, Neziaki. How are you doing? But Tem, actually, a good question for you from us is, what is your 3 favorite Star Wars films? So we know number 1 is Rogue One, but I'd like to hear the other 2 as well as you, Neziaki. Give us your top 3 Star Wars films. But quickly back to Empire. So we left off there on Hoth. I too like how they incorporated the EMP launcher as well, because it's a very healthy way to be like, this is how they get away without having some miracle happen. But still, like, Darth Vader shows up and they manage just to escape. Like,
Yeah.
it feels fluid, and it leads to them just constantly on the run without a fuel problem.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And it sets up like you were saying, it sets up the consequences and everything. Just with Luke getting smacked in the face and almost getting eaten by the woolly mammoth, the Yeti or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Because it's small enough, and then also them almost getting caught, and like they have to. It's not just like, oh, out of pure luck we escaped. Like they had to actually do stuff, and I think it's just a great script because, yeah, with him getting hit in the beginning, it's like, okay, Luke was pretty much like untouched in episode 4, like he didn't get badly hurt, and then obviously gets his arm cut off. So it just already opens the door of that these characters can and probably will get hurt at some point.
Yeah. Back to you, Tem, in chat. Yeah. What are your other two favorite Star Wars films? I'm actually interested, as well as you, Nezayaki. On all right, on hands down, Rogue One, Empire Strikes Back, and then truthfully, I really enjoy Solo. Okay, we haven't gotten to Disney Star Wars yet, so
I feel like we're gonna have to do it on a different one.
yeah, we're probably gonna have to do Solo in a different episode, but that'll be episode
Possibly.
2 of the podcast because we're probably gonna have something very much ironed out for Disney Star Wars films. Um, but yeah, we do agree that Jar Jar. It's Darth Jar Jar, by the way. He was the evil
Yes.
all along. Back to
Put up a picture of Darth Jar Jar if you could.
let me find Darth. Let me look that up really quick.
What's also great about Episode 5 is that it becomes Luke and Leia. I mean, Han and Leia, and then Luke is pretty much all on his own, besides Yoda. But you know,
But he basically he didn't even know who Yoda was too. It really shows like he didn't believe in the Jedi to begin with. Like he barely believed about the Force in the fourth film until the end, and meeting
Yeah.
Obi-Wan. But Obi-Wan
I mean,
never
some
mentioned
dude-
Yoda.
yeah, some dude in the desert is like, "Hey, like you should learn the Force." He's like, "I guess I'll give it a shot." Like, what? And then he kind of takes that leap of faith when he shoots the blasters into the Death Star and blows it up. But yeah, I like how they are separated for almost the whole movie, and you get to and they tie up well at the end, but they I don't know, their own journey and their own adventures and their own problems is just more interesting.
Also, the whole thing with I mean, introducing Lando was also incredibly interesting.
Oh, yeah,
Just because
he's such a great character.
you never meet, because Han is this like weird guy who you never meet or never know anything about, and
And then then here's this guy who's like a friend, sort of. When you first meet him, right? He's kind of like Lando, like he doesn't. When he first walks up to Han, doesn't he go like, "You son of a bitch"? Like,
Yeah,
"You
basically.
showing your mug here," and then he kind of like psychs him a little bit and like they hug or something like that. It's like, yeah, you get a no, don't they though? Don't they kind of go like, like you're a bro, like you're goofing me, you're razzing me, and they like hug for a sec, like do a bro hug.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I put Darth Jar
it's a
Jar
cool
in the
little-
chat. Or I put Darth Jar Jar in the picture.
I don't see it.
It should take a little bit, but
Oh,
then
there it is.
Yep, there it is.
Yay. I mean, yeah, it's a cool seeing that little bit of Han's life before Episode 4.
Yeah. We have another question. If R2D2 and C3PO were such an important part of his life while training to be the badass Jedi we know and love today, why did Obi-Wan not recognize them when they arrived to his home?
He didn't not recognize them. He didn't. I mean,
Did
he said I don't remember owning a droid, which he didn't own R2D2.
I think part of that was just him wanting to just not, I don't know, like just go into this whole thing with Luke right off the bat of like, oh yeah, I was with these droids for, 20 years or 10 years, however long it is,
well
going on all these
C3PO
wacky adventures.
and they never recognized Obi-Wan too. Like
Well,
R2D2.
they had their memories wiped at the end of Episode 3.
That's
Well,
true.
they said only C3PO did, but R2D2 retained
Oh, yeah,
his
that's right.
memory. But he did say he's like Luke said to Obi-Wan, he was like, "This droid says he belongs to you," and he was like, "I don't remember owning a droid."
Yeah, you're right. It's kind of like it's a technicality of like I know who you are, but like I never owned him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't really my homie.
Yeah.
Also,
And then C3PO got his. Oh yeah, that's right. Only C3PO got his memory wiped.
yeah, and then all right.
That's
So
right.
going back to Empire Strikes Back really quick, one of my favorite ad lib scenes, and I really hope this is like I still believe it's ad lib, and I think it is, but I'm not sure. Is when Han Solo goes, "I know" at the end of the film before he gets frozen in carbonite,
Oh, yeah.
that was
because
yeah.
it's such an iconic line. that's still remembered, and it was ad libbed. Like having someone ad lib something and it still be like considered like incredibly important, like is just really cool to me.
Well, it's
Like,
like a Taxi Driver with his "You Talking to Me" scene. That was all ad libbed.
but it shows that Han Solo is still like this cool. He's basically like a cool guy. Like he
Well,
doesn't say
he's a cowboy, you know. He's
yeah.
like a space cowboy.
He doesn't say I love you too. He's just like I know. But it
It
still
was
gets
written though that he was gonna say "I love you too," but he was like that. He wouldn't say that.
yeah.
I do love how there were stories that uh, Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher were drunk when they were filming like some Cloud City scenes, which
Were
is
they
why
really?
they're like very yeah they were like either drunk or high or something. So they were like smiling and like laughing a little bit too much in some of the
Oh,
scenes. I think that's amazing.
well, I
Yeah.
know that Harrison Ford was like not even sure if he wanted to keep doing it because he wasn't a huge fan of the Star Wars. So that's
That-
why they
Yeah.
froze him
Well, he
at the
thought
end.
he'd die in 6, but that's why they killed him off in 7.
Well,
Well,
he
yeah.
finally got his wish in 7, but originally, Connor, you were right. Is that if he ends up not coming back in 6, he's like, I'm just frozen, and that's kind of where they'll leave me. Um, and then, but then he came back for 6 to have his like big kind of complete his arc. Silence. Anyway,
But yeah, it was a good film all around. I enjoyed it.
yeah.
It's probably my second favorite, close to the third one though.
What's great about the final fight is that Luke is like really giving it his all, and you can see that, and then you can also see Vader just kind of like with one arm just deflecting his swings because
Yeah,
he's that much better. You can just see that he's like kind of playing with him a little bit. Oh wait, what's this comment say? One of the big inconsistencies in Empire Strikes Back is the issue of time. Luke trains to be a Jedi in the same amount of time it takes for Han and crew to fly to Cloud City and get captured really doesn't add up. I think I've heard a theory that it's just because like time zones, but
well,
that
also
might
to be
be
fair, planets have different like gravity, and gravity affects time. So technically, it could make sense. But at the same time, he didn't really train that
yeah.
much. He left early.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I mean, you could chalk it up to yeah, time zone is an oversimplification,
Yeah,
but you know, the what you were saying. Yeah, that's true.
that's why he got like essentially got his ass handed to him, like a not even like fully like full force Darth Vader.
Yeah, he was like I was saying, he was just kind of like playing with them,
Yeah.
Oh,
which was sweet.
there's also another comment. Sorry for cutting you guys off really quick, but one of the big inconsistencies in Empire Strikes Back, or did you guys just read
Connor,
that?
Kyle, we just went over that.
Oh,
Where
did
have
you
you been,
guys?
Kyle?
I just went to the
Throw your
bathroom.
throw your
I
2 cents in, why don't you?
I went to the bathroom and then had to lock up for the night.
Oh my god.
So you guys already did the whole thing with Luke trains to be a Jedi in the same amount. Han and
Yeah,
crew
we
to
just
fly.
covered that.
Okay, perfect. Alrighty. I went to the bathroom.
At
Whoopsie
least
That
daisy.
tell
was
us. Come on,
I
man.
was just like, oh crap, I have to go close the windows and lock the doors and whatever. And I was like, man, I really gotta pee. So I just
You poor damn fool.
yes. But I think overall, this movie was probably my favorite, and I think it'll always be my favorite Star Wars content in general, just because also the end fight between, I don't know if you guys talked about Vader and Luke at the end in Cloud City.
Yeah, but
we
what were you
touched on
gonna
it
say?
briefly.
What's up?
Yeah, but go on.
Oh, alright. Because in episode 5, the fight doesn't feel like, oh, these two people are fighting to kill one another. It feels like Vader, of course, like his father, is testing his son and being like, "Oh, you're trying to oppose me. Well, let's see what you can do. And also, I'm gonna break your mind and say that, haha, I'm your father, and see how you
Yeah,
react to it."
we were kind of saying the same thing of how Luke was like really giving it his all, and then Vader's kind of like playing with him a little bit, and sort of like with one hand sort of deflecting his swings and sort of toying with him a little bit, being like, "You're not really a challenge to me." And if he really wanted to, he could have just killed him right then and there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But like
and
what you were saying, he didn't want to. That wasn't the goal.
Yoda even tells Luke before he goes to Cloud City, like, "Yeah, by the way, you need more training." And Luke's like, "Ah, screw that shit.
I'll be fine.
I'll be fine." And then he gets his hand cut off, and then he commits suicide, but he lives.
Yeah. Did you guys know about that theory? Is that like he went to jump to kill himself?
I've never
I
heard
don't
that
know.
theory.
I
I
thought
don't know about that.
I thought he did it so he didn't join his father, or quote unquote, because he probably was like, "Yeah, this guy's probably goofing, gaffing me."
Well, I mean, that's how I interpret it, is that he did it just to escape. But
Yeah.
there I'm just legit finding theories to just give you more time. Oh, thanks, man. I heard anyway in some video discussing it is that he just found out his father's like the most evil man in the galaxy, and he just goes like he doesn't know he's gonna go through that chute and end up where he ends up. So it's like the theory
Yeah,
was that he went to kill himself. I think that makes Luke kind of a weaker character.
I
I'd
think it
like
makes
to
it
think
more
he.
noble, at least. He'd rather die than join
his
than
father.
become his
Yeah,
father's.
Yeah, that's fair.
which is
I
funny
can see it both ways.
because the entire point of the Sith is like there's always two, but the Sith is always trying to backstab each other.
Well,
Well,
because
yeah,
there can
that's,
only
well,
be two, right?
that's the
So
whole point of the rule, too.
Yeah,
it
So they
becomes a
don't
numbers
backstab each
game where, Kyle, let's say, because it's three of us right now, all of a sudden Connor goes, "Hey, there can only be two people on this podcast," and because Connor's the one who made the rule, clearly he's the Sith Lord in this situation, and
Connor
we're
already
just
killed
the
James.
yeah. So
You guys are
you
next.
know, yeah, you and me, Kyle, we got to kind of figure this out. We're gonna have to duke it out somehow. It
or
makes sense.
or we join forces and take out Connor.
That's true, but then do we
If
keep
you
the rule of
can.
two? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what do we do?
Do you know Connor's power level?
It's over
It's over a certain
9,000.
number. Yeah. I was gonna say it's over a pretty big number.
Tem says I'm legit just trying to find theories to just give y'all more to talk about. Oh, if only two people be on the podcast, we need to kill Ref. Uh-oh. Uh,
Sure.
Connor, it's our show now.
no.
Hell yeah.
We're gonna have to get the login information for his Twitch
But
before
can't
we
kill
kill
him
him.
first.
Password is
Yeah, we-
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not the password. That's just a meme. Don't try that.
It actually is your password.
You know what? I'm gonna try that right now. Mark my words.
Oh
And all of
no.
a sudden the stream just ends.
The stream ends. It's like someone else has logged in using your information.
Yeah. All
like,
you
oh.
hear is me like from a distance. No way! And then just black screen.
Just black screen. Uh,
No.
but I think that is it for episode 5. Unless there's anything else we want to add.
I think we pretty much covered it, right?
Yeah, I don't want to repeat myself. It's just such a well-made movie and such a great sequel. That's my closing remarks.
Yeah, I think overall good film, and that leads us into
10.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
10 out
9
of 10.
out of 10. I'm a bit of a critic. What can I say?
That leads us into Return of the Jedi.
You wanna start off
Spoilers,
with,
they do return.
Quick question from Tem before we continue. So, how do y'all feel with the theory of Boba Fett? We did cover this earlier, but
what theory?
that he's
That
still
he
alive.
survives the Sarlacc?
I
Yeah.
think that's like proven though. I don't think it's a theory anymore.
So it is proven. I
They're
think,
like in a book or a comic or something.
which I'm glad because Boba overall as a character is kind of a goofball.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we didn't
Well,
even talk about him, and he's introduced in episode 5.
In episode 5,
Yeah.
he's this badass
I
bounty
mean,
hunter.
yeah, he doesn't really do much anyway.
He just
but
looks
he's pretty
intimidating.
cool.
Yeah.
But if you
he's
watch like
cool
the
enough.
cartoons, like if you do your homework, you learn
Oh,
more
wow.
about him. If you do your homework, you know more about him.
Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause
Well, that was
he-
like him as like a kid though.
Yeah, but you see like how capable he is. And then
Yeah.
you watch him in Return of the Jedi and he loses to a blind man.
Yeah. By like accident.
Yeah.
It's just sort of bad luck.
Poor
Yeah.
Boba.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do Number
But
6. What are you guys' first impressions?
rating, Eric, good sir, you shall start us off.
Um, I think it's a good ending. My main issue with this movie in particular is honestly, I think the acting just for some reason got really bad, and the writing also got kind of weird.
Yeah.
It really sticks out to me that scene towards the end when Luke goes, he's saying it like really fast. He goes like, "Father, let go of your hate." It's like
Oh
to
my.
me, like
Yep.
it just became like Shakespearean to me in a weird way, and it didn't come off that way in the other ones. This is also when George Lucas co-wrote this one, so I think a lot of the Lucasisms that we get in the
Yeah,
prequels
yeah.
like started in Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Um,
I agree with that.
What would you rate it in terms of out of 10?
I give it a
um,
7.
what did I give four?
You
Like
give
a
it a
six?
6 or a 7, you said.
I'd give this maybe like a six as well, 6 or 7. I guess it's. I think four's. I don't know. 4 and 6 are kind of tied with me. I guess
So, yeah, I
they
agree.
both have things that I like a lot and also dislike a lot.
Like, I think out of all three, this one is probably the weakest. And
Yeah.
I'd say
just,
it's the second weakest. It's in the middle.
well, because the opening with Luke's plan is kind of like based on
It's a very
luck.
it's a very goofy movie.
Yeah, it's a very goofy plan. And then the whole thing with the
It's an
Ewoks is
extremely
kind of weird. Like bop bop, eka ba da bop,
Um,
ita di di
you
di
know,
di ita
I
di
remember.
da da.
I remember as a kid, not. I think my dad was like, "We're gonna watch this," and I'm sure he said Star Wars, but like, because I was probably like 7 or something like that. I was pretty young, and you see Luke in his hood, and he's walking, and you see all of the um monster, I mean, the aliens and stuff. I remember as a very little kid being like, "What is happening?" And I thought that was like a half hour of the movie of like this weird, dark, creepy cave with some hooded dude, and I'm like, "What is going on?" And now, obviously, I don't think it's that. Reminds me of episode 4 when it's like very slow start, and then
Yeah.
the action kind of picks up right after when the Sarlacc pit through on, I think, is like much more actiony.
Yeah, the last like 5 minutes of it.
It's yeah, I agree. It's very weird. Um,
Just
but
as a kid, I remember being like, "This is so boring," but it's really not that bad.
and
I
then
just
they
had
It
no
have,
wasn't
context for
it
it.
wasn't
But
necessarily boring. It was just very like overly goofy.
yeah, I
no, no,
Very
no, no.
agree.
silly.
I mean, just the beginning part.
Yeah.
With
Even so,
Luke's
it was a
plan.
bit goofy.
Luke's
It
plan was
was,
kind
yeah.
of like, oh yeah, they need to get captured. Everything needs to work out perfectly, and it does. And
Yeah.
but the fight with the giant, not the Sarlacc, but like in Jabba's palace, that giant beast, I thought that was kind of cool.
I thought
That
it was
is
Like
very
the.
resourceful of
Oh
them
wait,
to
no,
do
that's
that.
the Rancor.
the Rancor, yeah,
Yeah.
because
That's
Luke
what I
kills him
meant, not
without
the
the lightsaber.
Sarlacc.
He kills him because he shows that he's capable of killing a beast now. With like he doesn't need a lightsaber.
Yeah.
It. Uh, I feel like in a newer movie, if they did that scene, someone would be like, "Wow, Luke, I can't believe you did that without a lightsaber." But in this one, it's like you just get it because you
There was a
see
lot of
it
time off
and
screen
you understand.
where
Yeah,
he trained it.
Exactly.
the
Exactly. That's
subtlety.
my point. That's what I'm saying, Kyle. Yeah, that's exactly the subtlety of you see him do it and you just kind of get it where it's like, yeah, he doesn't need the lightsaber because now he's a competent force user and a fighter in general. But now I feel like if this was a scene in like 8 or 9 or even 7, it'd be like, wow, I can't believe you did that all without a lightsaber. You
And look,
must be really powerful.
yeah,
It's
you
like,
must be powerful without a lightsaber. It's like you
it's like
really
I
need to shove
just
it down the
saw
throat.
that. Yeah, it's like, I just saw that happen. Why are you telling me this? You think I'm a baby? You think I'm stupid?
Think I'm stupid. I
You think
and
I'm ugly and stupid?
I do enjoy the major space battle at the end. Once again, it really shows just like space battles aren't meant to be linear. They're meant to be chaotic and things flying everywhere. It also
Yeah.
just shows like the rebellion had men to throw at the empire and they had ships to burn, but like they make the empire feel infinite. they
Yeah.
make them feel like they have just like if like oh shit, these guys can rebuild basically the Death Star 2 again.
Yeah.
Oh wait, hold on. Tem goes, so how do y'all feel with Reddit and everyone thinking Palpatine was a clone in the Return of the Jedi?
I've never heard of that before, and it sounds very absurd because he never died.
Wait, in Return of the Jedi or in 9? In
He was
Rise of
confirmed a
Skywalker.
clone in 9.
I thought,
But
yeah, I thought he was a clone because at the end
Nope.
he falls and gets vaporized, as we all saw at the end of Return of the Jedi.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was confirmed to be a clone. Like,
Which
in the
which
books,
annoys
I
the
guess.
crap out of me because it's like if he actually survived the falling down a shaft and exploding and his only excuse was yeah the dark side do some crazy shit sometimes.
Yeah, I'm just so evil.
I'm so evil.
Dark side.
But I didn't think Palpatine was a clone until episode 7, 8, and 9.
Well,
I-
I'm sure
I-
he was a clone, but just he didn't put his like consciousness into it.
Yeah.
I wonder though if back to episode 3, you know that whole story about Darth Tyrannus?
Is that
him?
Darth
Yeah, it's Count Dooku.
Yeah.
Oh no, not him.
Darth Plagueis?
Plagueis.
Yes, Plagueis.
Plagueis.
Do
yeah.
you think, going off of that theory, that maybe the original Palpatine or a version of Palpatine was Plagueis, and then this clone that we see from 1 through 6 is like the one who tried to kill Plagueis, which was maybe the original Palpatine, going off of this theory?
I don't think so because they like.
It would be interesting. Though.
It would be.
Yeah.
There's nothing to back this up,
But-
but how cool
No, I
would it
think in
be
the books
if
they say
Palpatine
that,
tried to kill Palpatine to become the
Good old
ultimate,
creamy
ultimate,
Sheev.
like,
well, he was like a different species. He was like what? Like he was like part of like the banking clan boys.
Was he?
I
I
don't
thought
know.
he
think
was
so.
just human. Get the
But do you get
whole
what I'm saying?
alien thing of Star
No, he's
Wars
like
is
he's like
weird.
an alien dude. He's not like human like.
I don't think any of the human actors, like, I don't think Han Solo is a human though, because I don't think
Well,
there's like
technically
Earth.
not, but he's humanoid at least.
That's what I mean, yeah. Because I think in those books where they show like they go into everybody's home planet and everything, like no one's from Earth, but they're
Yeah.
human
Yeah.
looking. But yeah, I think it would be really interesting if from the Palpatine we see in 1 through 6 was a clone, and Plagueis was maybe the original
Jar Binks.
Palpatine. Yes,
Darth
who is
Pla-
also
I think
Palpatine.
Who's
confirmed
also
that that was not
Palpatine.
the case.
I know it's not the case, Connor, but I'm saying
Jar
it's
Jar
an
Binks
interesting
is
theory.
Palpatine. Let's be
Yes.
real.
Theory confirmed.
He's that powerful in the Force.
I think that's an interesting idea because it shows how evil Palpatine is, where he's like, I know he's me, but I'm still going to kill him, so I'm the ultimate like ruler of the galaxy.
Yeah.
No, nothing to back this up at all, but an interesting theory nonetheless.
Yeah. And so going back to Return of the Jedi really quick. The movie like there's a lot of times where you're sitting there like with Jabba's palace where Leia's choking out Jabba or with the Ewoks and Luke raising them before they're cooked alive, like raising C-3PO as a god, where I just kept thinking to myself like what the fuck is going on?
It's Georgie boy. You tell them you'll get angry and use your magic on them. It's like,
Like
Luke,
what?
you're high, dude.
Luke, what are you smoking and why can't I have what he's having?
Yeah, there are some moments like that. There's a really funny joke in Family Guy when they do their version of Return of the Jedi, and they're talking about like the plan to destroy the Death Star, and Han, played by Peter, is like, you know what's so fucked up about this? We already did this.
We already
It's like,
did this
yeah,
once.
Oh no, the I think the exact line is, yeah, we already did this. That's what's so fucked up about this.
Which is also interesting because if the Death Star got destroyed, which it did, and they didn't learn from it, and they're like, oh, how did they destroy it? Oh, there was a hole that led right to our reactor. Who the and I know they explained it in Rogue One, but like after the first time, you'd think like, hey, maybe we should cover that, not with just some cardboard, and not leave a
In their
Well, to be fair, they were like halfway done
space
with it.
cardboard.
yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, in their defense, it wasn't fully built, and
Yeah.
also space cardboard.
Also space cardboard.
Yeah.
But they
I mean-
introduce Admiral Akbar. I don't remember
The
his
OG.
4 or 5. The OG, and then they just kill him. He dies in 8 for just
Oh yeah, that's right. He does.
Just because.
just because they're like,
I
oh, we
mean,
need to make the.
'cause-
I swear to God, I could talk about Disney for hours.
That's what I'm saying. I think this needs to be a separate episode.
Disney
That
will
should
be a
be
separate
separate.
episode. So
I think you're right. That's a good idea.
since Disney will be a separate episode, I want to hear from 1 to 6. Give me, like in order from best to worst, your overall take.
Take it away, Eric.
I think 5, 4, um, 3 and 6, 1 and
Okay.
2. I think 2 is the worst in my opinion.
Yeah, I can agree with that one.
Now, are we talking about meme material or just overall movie?
Just a movie.
You've been reviewing these through rose-colored glasses. I've been trying to review them as films.
Okay.
Well, actually, wait. Okay, yeah, I don't. Yeah, okay.
In terms of films, I would go 5, 4, 3, 6, and then 2 and 1. I think I would go 1, 2, or 2, 1. Like that one flip flops for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna go 1, 2. 2 is the worst, but I have a bias towards it. But I have to put the bias aside. I have to put it down.
Gotta put it down, Kyle. Put the gun down,
Put the
Kyle.
gun what's in the box?
Put the fucking gun down, Kyle. You don't want to do this, man.
Oh, I'm gonna do this. But Connor,
Connor, how about you?
how about you?
I definitely go 3, 5, 6, 4, 1, 2.
Actually, wait. Can I change the order of mine?
Yes, you
No,
can.
sorry. you've
Also,
already said
Tem
it.
says,
I never
yes, good
locked it
order.
down. I didn't lock it down, guys. I can change it.
Lock it
I'm
in.
s-
Did somebody say Star Wars? Ding. Yes.
I'm still going with 5 as the best, but I don't know about. See, for me, 4, 3, and 6 all have some interesting part. I think I'm gonna go with 5, 4, 6, 3, 1, and 2.
Okay.
Is that what you said before?
No.
Who
I don't
knows
know.
at this
said
point?
before.
Tem
Oh.
says, yes,
Something
good
like
order.
that.
Dang it, Kyle. What the fuck is up, Kyle? Just the meme. Oh my god, it's the Vine. Oh my god. What
You
the
got
fuck
played.
is up, Kyle? Step the fuck up, cat. But in terms of meme material, what movie out of all 6 is the best Wow, my voice. What is the best meme material?
Obviously 3. I mean, you can't deny
3
that.
or 2? 3 or 2?
It's a
I
tie
guess.
between 3 or 2,
I
just
think
because of the
3 is.
fucking sand. It's like it's coarse. It gets everywhere.
But yeah,
Wait, we
3
didn't
has
talk
so
about
many
this.
more.
Yeah,
The
that's
thing is
true.
very memeable.
The scene in 2 when he just lifts the pear and like cuts
Yeah.
it midair and like gives her the slice is so dumb.
He's like, Obi-Wan
Yeah.
would kill me for this. I'm like, you're just lifting a fucking pear, dude. Like,
I'm having fun and totally not jelking under the table. Obi-Wan would kill me for this.
yeah. I'm totally not playing force footsies under the table right now. Like,
I just think 3 so many parts make no sense. And that's why I kind of wanted to change it to put it lower cuz issues with 4 and 6 aside, I still think they're better. Just
Yeah.
Oh, no, I
movie-wise.
I think beyond
So-
like its faults, 3 is just a fantastic film. Like,
3, the
I
effects
personally
that
like
3
the
had were
characters
amazing.
better in the prequels, so maybe I'm a bit biased.
I think the effects in 3 were outstanding.
Oh yeah, and the
I mean,
fights.
They're
I
still pretty good. They're still
I
pretty good.
I know it's a lot of green screens, but like the way to portray Mustafar and the space battle over Coruscant is just ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
I
do a
guess
lot
what
more
it
world building, and so like, hey, the clones turning on the Jedi is happening fucking everywhere. Like everywhere, people are suffering and dying from this.
Yeah. What's kind of weird to me, this sticks out as a meme to me when Anakin is going to run to Palpatine when he's fighting Mace Windu, he's kind of jogging and then just at a point it just immediately goes into like a
Walking.
speed walk.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did they do that? Did they run out of like
I thought he could
green
force
screen so
run,
yeah,
like
remember
force
that in
sprint.
episode 1 that they never do ever again?
They
It's like,
just
but
force
he's
sprint.
jogging and then he just goes to walking. I'm like, why did he do that? Isn't there some sort of urgency
Urgency?
to this?
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's just the limitation with the green screen. They had 50 feet of green screen and he was at 45 ish, and George Lucas was yelling, slow down, slow down.
Stop! Stop! Stop the car!
Stop the train.
Tem says 2 or 3. Yep, completely agree in terms of meme material. Absolutely. What a
Although
meme!
let's not forget from 6, Father, let go of your hate.
Let go of your hate, Father. Help me, please.
We'll go into 8 in a separate episode, but watching Mark Hamill on screen again, it's like to me, it's like, yeah, you should stay a voice actor.
Yeah. Also, this
You
is-
weren't good in 6, and you're really not good in this one.
I don't think he's a bad actor. I think it was just a bad script that he got.
I mean, and he was super unhappy with it too. But
Yeah.
no, he's a good actor. I think part of it was just, I don't know.
I think Mark
Some of
Hamill's
it sounded
character.
like,
Also hated whenever remember when we went to go see the 7th movie when it came out?
hell yeah, dude.
I fucking had a huge problem with Mark Hamill being the first name on like the cast thing. And he had
Oh,
like
yeah,
1
that's
minute,
right.
like
Oh,
1 minute of screen
you
time. and
know.
had
And he
no
doesn't say
dialogue.
a word.
You know,
Yeah.
Mark Hamill got paid millions of dollars just to stand there and look like he just pooped his pants. Like he's like, "Rrr."
And for that first billing,
Yeah,
probably, yeah. Yeah, that's true. I forgot that he was listed first.
I had a huge problem with that. I was like, why though? He didn't do anything.
because he's
I guess because he was the biggest name in the movie.
because
so
that
they're like,
that's
"We'll
what
put him
brings
first."
people
I feel
in.
like Harrison Ford's a bigger name.
I mean, yeah, you're right. Oh yeah, duh, he was in that movie way more.
And he
He's
died
in
in
that way
that
more.
movie.
He's been in a lot more famous movies other than Star Wars.
Yeah, that's true.
He's
Yeah,
just like
why?
a more all-around famous actor.
Is it because Mark Hamill was first in the original, so they were trying to
Well,
like copy it?
Well, if
I
you
don't
think about
so.
it, so
me
Harrison
look that
Ford, he does a lot of movies and everything, but he's not just known as Han Solo.
Well, no, he's Indiana Jones.
He's known as
He-
Indiana Jones. Like he has so many more personas, I
Yeah.
guess. Mark Hamill is just Luke Skywalker, really. He's
And
also, I
the
mean,
Joker.
he's also the
And the
Joker from Batman. Like, let's be
and
real.
Skips from regular show.
That is true.
Yes,
But I think he's more known as the main character in his own, in like Star Wars and everything.
Yeah.
Oh wait,
he's kind of like the face of Star Wars for sure.
Tem asks, so here's a question I have for y'all. What do you feel about the clones who didn't follow Order 66? And I don't know if y'all talked about this, but I'd love to hear y'all thoughts, son, on
There's only
thoughts
a-
on that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's only a few of them, right? Rex and
Rex.
like a couple of his like friends that took the chips out.
There is a couple instances, I mean, in the books, as well as the movies and games, where clones, in the shows, of course, where clones didn't turn on the Jedi. I mean, in one case, the clones didn't turn because they thought it was a separatist plan, and they're like, oh shit, we're not going to turn on them.
Oh, okay.
Like, there's so many, like, I completely agree with the clones who didn't do it, because, like, so I remember I was watching a video, because people are just like, oh, how did the Jedi die to Order 66? Like, they're stronger than the clones, and the guy who I was watching, I think it was Mauler or something, he just goes, yeah, so imagine you're with your buddies, and you've been friends with them for years. So I'll say, like, I'll say Eric and Connor, you two. Like, we hang
And
out
one
all
of
the
them
time.
Stabs you in the spine.
Yeah, and then one day you guys come over to my house, and then you just beat the shit out of me. and it's like
Yeah.
completely caught off guard. You just
Yeah,
like you
no,
catch
and
me with my pants down. I'm like, uh-oh.
yeah, and they do show that where some of them are just kind of chilling, and then all of a sudden they just get blasted.
They all like had a second of like realization that something was happening, but they couldn't
Yeah.
react fast enough because that's
Yeah. Tem says, I feel like the clones that didn't do such as Rex, I felt like could have been such a good like solo Star Wars movie. Just honestly, if they did a movie about, because in the TV show they show Rex and how he feels because he got his chip out and he saved Ahsoka, and I think showing Rex's perspective as a clone, as the clones turn into the Empire, would be kind of interesting.
I think it'd be
That would
kind
be
of
cool.
silly in my opinion, just because it shows them like just like essentially doing like a video game side quest on like a desert.
I mean, that is true. He joins Wolf and Gregor, and
Yeah,
they all like live in an abandoned AT-AT until they
yeah.
run
I don't
into
know how
Ahsoka
exciting
again.
it would be.
But I think showing, what if Rex and Ahsoka teamed up after like they had escaped their ship and it followed them? Like
That
That'd
would
be
be
cool.
I feel like
cool,
that
I
would be
guess.
cool.
I feel like it wouldn't be too like unless they can like somehow like in the canon as far as I know they don't really see like Darth Vader never sees Ahsoka again until they fight.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it would
Uh,
work. I feel like it'd be a bit boring unless they like changed a few things around.
Yeah.
Maybe. And because I don't have Disney Plus, I haven't been able to see the last season. But from what I've seen on clips, it wasn't just Execute Order 66, and they're like cool, and then they just like snapped like that. Some of them were kind of like what, and like it wasn't
Well,
just an immediate thing,
Rex,
to my understanding.
Rex is the only one who really like second guessed it or like took a second to like do it because he was because his buddy Fives back in the day like
Yeah, Fives was like, bruh, there's shit going down. He's like,
yeah
Oh,
well,
again though, I've only seen clips, so I don't know. But I
yeah
thought it wasn't just like, well, okay, I guess we're just killing all of our friends now.
they portray it
well,
as
I don't know.
well it
I don't
kind of
know.
forces them to I think
in the
like it like
TV show.
activates
Yeah, in the TV
Oh,
show, it looks more like a mind control where
yeah
it
or
happens.
like
In the
it makes them
okay.
follow orders.
Oh,
Yeah,
then I was completely mistaken. Because in the movie, it seemed like a mind control thing, and I thought in the show they expanded where it wasn't like mind control. But again, I don't know when you guys watched the
Yeah,
show, and I
it was
haven't.
yeah,
I think it was mind control essentially, but like Rex was able to fight it off a bit because he like actually like was very close with like Anakin and like
and
Ahsoka.
cause
Right.
so like the scene plays out where Rex takes out his gun. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna be the one to do this, and then he says before he shoots Ahsoka like Fives, like he mentions Fives, and he talks
Like go
about like
find like look him up essentially.
yeah,
Hmm.
which is incredible. Oh my god, I don't remember how many times I just got hit in the gut because of that. I don't know how many times I've rewatched Ahsoka taking on the clones, but it's amazing every time I watch it.
It's pretty good. I'm not a huge fan of the Order 66 episodes. They're just kind of like they're okay, but I think the Darth Maul and Ahsoka was really good.
Yeah,
I do like the clip I've seen where he's kind of explaining to Ahsoka, like, I know what's gonna happen, and it doesn't he kind of try to get her to work with him or
yeah.
something?
Yeah,
Well, because
Yeah,
Ahsoka and
and
Maul,
that's a cool
I
scene.
don't think Ahsoka and Maul ever shared screen time until that
no, they
moment.
didn't.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. I thought that was like the big thing. It's like, oh, they're together
Yeah.
for the first time.
Tem says, well, yeah, or had own storyline with or a TV series. I do like that idea.
I mean, they could incorporate that into an episode of The Mandalorian or something,
Yeah, and he
or
goes
a
I think
couple
he'd be long
episodes.
dead by then.
in the book.
Oh yeah,
Rex helps her find
Well,
Darth
Rex
Vader.
was
Yeah,
Rex was in technically they guess Rex was in the sixth movie. He was like the old guy on Endor.
oh yeah, that's right.
I don't know how
I've
long,
heard that theory. Yeah,
but he might still be alive technically.
I mean
'Cause
clones.
they age faster, don't they?
Yeah,
Yeah, and you've seen clones leave the army. Like in the cartoon, there's an episode where Rex finds a defector. Rex and Cody, I think, find a defector, and he's just like, "Yeah, the Republic kinda didn't come save us, so we got slaughtered. So I just ran." I was like, "Yeah, like that's
I don't remember
interesting."
that one.
It's when they go to where the clone has a family, he has a wife,
Oh yeah. Oh
and they
yeah, I
live on a
remember that.
farm.
Okay. Yeah.
It's interesting because I like how the TV show kind of expands from the movie, being like, yeah, what about clones who defect? What about people who don't follow the Republic? Because it shows that the Republic also is flawed, which I
Yeah.
love because just like our own government and our own like democracy, like there's flaws in it and everything's not perfect.
Yes.
So it's very
Yes.
interesting to see like it be tackled and shown.
Yeah. Back to George Lucas's
Yeah.
whole thing about Bush administration and politics. I'm being dead serious. I'm not trying to be funny.
I know.
It is
Yeah.
comical though, where
That
he's sitting in his room and he's like, Star Wars was about, the spread of this and that and World War II, Cold War era stuff, and it's like, you know what the new one should be about? Modern American politics.
9/11.
which I'm glad
Oh,
they didn't
dude,
do
thank
because
God that movie came out before 9/11. Because could you imagine? I
Oh
mean,
my
the,
God.
the the whole. I mean, in
Wait, hold
episode
on.
one,
But
right?
they made the first movie before Bush was even in office.
in the age,
Wait
yeah.
a minute.
They made
No,
it
no,
in 1999.
1990. Wait a minute.
Bush
What?
wasn't in, like, are you talking about George W. Bush or the first Bush?
I think
Bush
first
wasn't
Bush.
in.
Then. First
Well,
Bush.
that was like that was like 8 years before that then.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
Um,
George Bush I don't think came into office till 2000. If I'm not mistaken.
so while you guys are looking
Oh no,
that
it's
up,
Bill Clinton. My bad.
oh, that's true.
Then I don't freaking know.
Tem says, yeah, Ahsoka and Rex. But then I don't know. I feel like it'd be a great way just to really expand more on the clones, etc. Just a cool thought. I don't know. I just can see a good new Disney TV series called The Lost Forgotten Clones. I would enjoy seeing that, seeing how
I wouldn't mind it. I feel like
It's
they
a
should
good
drift
title.
away
Well-
from. They should just branch off and do new things. I feel like we've seen a lot
Yes.
of within the characters we have. It's kind of like just.
Well,
redundant.
I want to see how it builds up because the Empire attacks Kamino and destroys the clone making facilities because
Oh, that's
the
true.
Kaminoans create clones that were loyal against against the Empire.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see how that plays like a thing into it.
I think that'd be cool, but at the same
yeah.
time, it's just like I don't know if they make it warrant a whole show about it, and then I feel like they should just branch off to like the Old Republic or like go even further in the future or go like I don't know, just
Yeah.
separate themselves from the Skywalker saga. I think that's their
I
best.
would be. I'd be really interested to see a Star Wars movie that has nothing to do with Jedi or Galactic Orders or Rebels, honestly, because it's like
Yeah.
I think
I like the Jedi. That's like the one
I,
thing
I
Star Wars
like
has
the
good.
Jedi. I
That's
like
like-
Jedi, but you didn't need the Force dude in Rogue One to be
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I
Well,
know what the
then
Force.
you
The Force
then
is
you
with
that
me."
you'd love the Mandalorian then because it's all like space
Space
Cowboy.
Cowboys, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, though. Like, it started off as like a fantasy story, just incorporate sci-fi. So it's like they could do literally anything. We don't always need Jedi and Rebels
Or a
and
familiar
an
face.
Empire. Yeah, or a familiar face. And I'm not saying never put a Jedi in a movie again because that would suck. But I don't know if they just did one at least, where it was something totally different. That'd be cool. And to retract my statement, the first one definitely wasn't about Bush, obviously, because it was the Clinton administration. But
Yeah.
as the movies went on, I think he has said a lot. He's like the politics of and 9/11 and everything like influenced it a lot.
Yeah. Tim
Maybe.
says,
I don't know if I believe it, but
yeah, that's also
This is what
true.
he said. This is what he said. I don't know.
He says, like each episode is a new clone story of not follow Order 66, Cody and Rex, etc. I'd be honestly whatever Disney is creating. Disney was gonna make that Obi-Wan series, then it got canceled. Like I'm
Wait, no,
interested.
it
are
didn't
they
get-
still doing it?
It didn't get canceled. God, don't you say that?
I thought it got put. I thought it got like pushed
I
off
think it got
indefinitely.
No, I
think
think it just got.
postponed.
Yeah, it got postponed because of COVID. The Hawkeye show, I think, got canceled indefinitely.
What about Black Widow? I thought that got.
That got
That-
postponed, like the release date
yeah,
got postponed
that-
because years are
Yeah,
closed.
because it got finished and everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Because
it just hasn't been
happened like,
released
as soon
yet.
as it was about to be released.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me see. Obi-Wan series. Is Obi-Wan series canceled?
Yeah. Well,
think
It is. It is not canceled, but it has been put on hold. This is according to express.co.uk.
okay.
Amazing.
We'll probably finish up with the Obi-Wan talk because we are now at
Okay.
2 hours and 10 minutes, which is
There
crazy.
you go.
we got a nice chunk in. We haven't even talked about Disney yet.
You might even split that into 2 episodes, like doing prequels and then originals, because there's like roughly an hour each.
Yeah. Tem says, well, what I mean, you read the lore in Star Wars, the old one and new ones. They're always clones that escaped and started their own life, etc. Some were having own families. Some clones became a rogue space cowboy for different planets, etc. Yeah, like
I would love to see like them remake Married with Children, but with a clone that defected, and they never mention Order 66. They don't even you don't even know it's Star Wars really, except for like the decor, and
That's
that would
also
be the
true.
most dumb move show ever. But it would be so funny.
But Tem, y'all are welcome. You're gonna clean your room. Y'all have a good one. You have a good one as well, Tem. Thanks for giving your 2 cents about Star Wars. It's always good to have more theories to talk about.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, good sir. But other than that, back to the Obi-Wan talk just before we wrap up on today's episode. So what news have they given us? Because I know Ewan McGregor would be playing Obi-Wan. Or at least
Yeah,
that's
they confirmed that. I think he came
It's
out in the
just that it
Comic-Con.
got postponed because of everything, and I also think they are reworking scripts is something I heard not
Well,
too
I think
long
they're
ago.
reworking Star Wars in general. I think they're trying to get rid of Kathleen Kennedy for the most part. I think
Kathleen.
Yeah,
she
That
was
is
kind of giving problems with the Kenobi one because they told her to not like to stay off the set of it, and then she was like, "No, I want to be on set."
I heard rumors that they got George Lucas back to like reintroduce and retcon like a ton of Anakin stuff, and I don't think any of that's true. But
I have no
that's like a
idea.
weird rumor, and I hope that isn't true because
I think it should leave it where it was.
yeah,
Just start fresh. Just go somewhere
exactly. People didn't like the new ones because it was just kind of retreading. Could you imagine they're like, okay, we're just gonna do Anakin again, but make him like better and more likable? Like people
Yeah.
would not
else.
really like
They did
that
that
either.
in the Clone Wars. I mean,
That's fair too. That's very fair.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I think
Yeah, they don't need to change it.
Yeah, I'm hoping whatever they do, they just respect the canon and respect what's been already shown. Because
Oh, they're not gonna do that.
watching a film and seeing them retcon themselves is like it feels kind of insulting, and we will get into that when we talk about Disney Star Wars. But
It's just very childlike.
yeah,
Just like, get your shit together.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very true.
yeah. But I think that wraps it up for today's episode. I
Hell
think
yeah.
want to thank all the boys for doing this. You know, everyone in chat, and as well as Connor and Eric. James hopefully will be here next time whenever he gets back from Detroit. Rest in peace.
Yeah, but if he doesn't, I'm not too worried about it because he's kind of problematic, and I'll just leave it at that.
Oh yeah, and then wait, do Connor and I have to be like, oh yeah, why do you think that way?
Yeah, if you're explaining the joke, sure. Why
Oh
not,
shit,
Kyle?
you're
Fucking asshole.
I'm like
Listen,
I'm a couple of
here's
drinks
the
in,
thing about. Yeah, maybe be professional on your stream. I'm sober as a stone right now. The thing about James is that he sent me a video of him shooting a shotgun at a shooting range, and he just sent that, and then about a second later, just the text that popped up said, "Next time this will be you." So
It's a good video.
I'm not super stoked to work with him, but it's your show,
But
so
I got a picture of James kissing a doorknob, and then he said that would be me. So I think we got two different messages here.
yeah, maybe he meant that one for me and the one I got for you. I don't know. But
Yeah,
anyway,
you know,
look,
it could
it's
be both.
Kyle's world. We're all living in it.
Yeah, it's my air. You're just breathing it. But I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I don't know how to end it. What's a good way to end it other than talking about how either one of us is about to get shot and kissed?
Oh, well, I think that's perfect.
I think that's perfect. All right, guys. We'll continue part 2 probably sometime later. Who the fuck knows? I can do whatever I want. I am my own independent man, and I'll see you all next time.